Hello, hello, our amazing Become Unshakable family. Welcome to Day 3, friends. Get up out of your seats, warm your beautiful bodies up, and welcome to my favorite day, the day we're creating our own economy. Shake it, come on. Welcome, welcome, friends from around the world. Hello, Maureen, Tina, Romy, Jean. Hi, our VIPs. It's good to see you guys. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Whoa, yes. Welcome to Day 3 of the Become Unshakable Challenge. Just with your physiology in your body, how are you feeling today? It's not the first, not the second, the third day you're training with the legendary Mr. Tony Robbins. So, we want to start today with a big congratulations and celebration. I'm not sure if you know this, but at this point of the challenge, you've been training with the #1 life and business and personal growth strategist that has existed on the face of this planet for over 5 hours. Give it up for yourselves. So if you don't know, that is more time than the average human being devotes to their personal development journey in an entire year. So take your hand and pat yourself on the back because you're doing amazing. It's also kind of not even comparable to Tony's shortest event. So 5 hours, his shortest event is 54 hours. So if we're feeling a little tired right now, this is just a warm up. We're building a muscle because I'm sure some of you are going to join us at Tony's actual seminar. Hopefully the next one's coming up in March. We'd love to have you guys there. And really what we want to do today is honor what unleashing our power really means, and that's tapping into this brand new identity that we've been creating. So give me a wave or put yes in the chat box if you completed your identity challenge homework assignment yesterday. And we want to celebrate you for that because you guys are pushing yourself past your edges. If you are completing these assignments, chances are you got to a moment where you're like, should I record this video? I'm kind of tired. I went long today. And if that was you, put a hand up in the air. Because what you're doing is activating a choice point, a decision where you get to say, am I going to do this thing that takes me to the next level? Or am I going to bail out? Am I going to say I'm going to do it later? Or am I going to step up and do it right now? And if you've been completing your challenges, going on video, that's the purpose of this entire thing. It seems so simple, but you're pushing yourself past what feels uncomfortable and taking your life to the next level. So congratulations for that. Now, today, we got a lot to do, so I'm going to be getting out of here in just a second so we can start the day. But today is about creating your own economy. And a lot of people say, like, what does that mean? Creating your own economy is really about being the creator of your life. It means nothing external of you is ever going to shake you off your axis. Whether you're an entrepreneur or a parent or a business owner or a doctor or an astrologist or a student, it doesn't matter what space you serve with your heart. Today is going to help you be strong and unshakable in the pursuit of business dreams, financial dreams, or whatever really matters for you, to you. And so at the end of today, like the very last second, I'm going to be announcing some special prizes. Again, 3 people are going to be winning tickets to Unleash the Power Within coming up in 49 days from today, March 16th through the 19th. That's Tony's virtual flagship event. We have 3 winners. Those of you that have played completely full out this challenge, we've been watching you. We're going to announce those at the very last second today. So stay all the way till the end. If you'll give me your honor and your commitment for that, give me a thumbs up in the screen. And if you're on Zoom or YouTube, put I'll be there. So let's get the party started. We're going to activate our physiologies. I'm going to bring Brian Bradley up for the second time. We're going to play full out with some quick exercises. I'm going to do it right with you. And then Tony will be up here in, I don't know, like 3 minutes or something. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the third day of this event? All right, my friends, stand up. Let's shake our bodies out and let's welcome to the stage, Brian Bradley. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. Okay. Guys, first of all, can we just all give it up for everybody that's behind the scenes for over 1 million people around the world making this happen? Yeah, you guys, listen, I do all these events and Tony's team is nothing but spectacular. And can we also give it up for KK because she's a monster. I love it. Guys, I know that. Thank you so much. Well, we're on day 3, day 2 because, well, for me, day 2 because of no sound on day 1. But Who's harboring any anger? Not me. But I got a question on Instagram in regards to shoes. So I brought on one of these court shoes, and look at this. It doesn't bend at all. It doesn't bend at all. Here's another one by OnCloud. Great shoe, because it makes me 6'1" finally, but the shoe doesn't bend. There's no movement in the midsection. So going barefoot, there's that whole thing about should I go barefoot shoes and all this, and then your feet start to hurt. There's no such thing as having your body suffer by going barefoot if your body's in the right alignment, in the right position. So that's our goal, is to get you guys aligned in the right position. That's why we do these exercises, so that you can live pain-free, move pain-free. And I have this picture I'm going to show you on my phone right now on Instagram. Look at this. This is what I see in the airport. This is everything I see when people are standing up. That's a butt pack, not a backpack. That's way too low. You guys got to think that whenever you're loading up your spine with that kind of stuff, cinch these things down, lift it up so it sits here. I know it's nerdy, but sit it here versus here, because when it sits here, your body then offsets it and runs this direction. So knowing that we're all doing this kind of stuff, let's try to turn that around. So let's stand up. We have a couple minutes here. We're going to get moving, and then we're going to bring Tony back up here. So this is going to be rocking. So guys, I know what's coming today. You guys better be ready. This is amazing. This is amazing. So stand up again. I want you to relax, feel where your body weight is with your eyes closed, left to right. Where is it? Front to back. And then I want you to check it again by bending over. What's that feel like? Even turn your neck and head. Does it feel the same on one side versus the other? And now I'm going to run you through one exercise that's going to change it again from a shoulder to a low back position and how we can change it. But I got to show you these because I wore these just for you guys today. I mean, who doesn't love unicorns? Let's go. So I want you to get your feet dead straight ahead. You got to get your feet as dead straight ahead as possible. Take the base of your hands, put it on your lower back. Fingertips are on your butt. My feet are straight. My first move is to lift with my pelvis, lift my butt up or out. So stick your butt out. And now pull your elbows together behind you. So this is what it's going to look like from the front. I'm going to kick my butt back. I'm going to pull my elbows back, and I'm going to stand in this forward bend position with my quads tight, my feet straight, my elbows being pulled back, and just look straight ahead for 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. And now pull those elbows together. Keep your quads tight. Don't lose that nice arch in your back. Don't bend over and round over like your mom would say, bad posture. So hold that arch in your back for 25 more seconds. So your butt's out like this. Let's see what we have here. Oh, it's beautiful. You guys look amazing. 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 Look straight ahead. Keep your butt kicked back. I see you, kids. I see you, kids. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your hands and interlace them together like this. Your feet are straight. Push your palms away like this. Take it straight up over your head. So as I'm standing, I'm taking my arms straight up like this and dropping them from the shoulder. If it hurts your shoulder, move it forward a little bit. You're going to hold that for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to run. So stay looking up at your hands. Your feet are straight. This is called the overhead extension. It moves your upper back and shoulder blades to a whole new position. It's a flat out game changer, guys. This is one of those deep, 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 really quick interrupts that you can use throughout the day, especially when you're sitting in the chair built by the lowest bidder. That's what Egoscue does, is interrupts that sitting position and makes all your other healthcare position jobs, all those people, makes their job easier. So let's come out of that. Shake it out. We only have about a minute left. Shake it out. Close your eyes. Where's your body weight from left to right? Where is it left to right? Come on, we got to wake this up today. So we want to be as balanced and grounded as possible for day 3 of this challenge, because it's going to be depicting what's going to happen for the rest of your life. You're going to make a choice right now. And now turn your neck. You'll feel how much freer that is. And then even bend over and feel like what the range of motion is. These changes to these functional movements happen because your upper back is no longer in the way and you're starting to drive from the hip. Speaking of that, let's get you into the greatest abdominal exercise ever, because this thing's an amazing energy booster. Remember this? 90 degrees. And here we go. You're only doing 15 seconds. Turn it on. Let's go. Turn it on. 15 seconds. Turn it on as fast as you can go. Come on, guys. Let's go. The family that does a gospel together stays together. I see you, kids. Let's go. Yeah, buddy. Oh, what's up? Keep it going. Oh, my God. The dog's in there. I think the dog's doing it. It's so good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's switch legs and let's get this rolling one more time. Here we go. Last leg. Ready, set, go as fast as you can. And when you think you're going fast enough, turn it on. Find another gear. Find another gear. Find another gear. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. He's running outside. I love it. Look at that smile. How can you not enjoy it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, welcome to day 3. This is your life. Let's go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brian Bradley. Everybody, it is day 3, and it is time to get this party started. Lean all the way into the camera and give me a head nod if you are more than ready to go on a ride with Mr. Tony Robbins and say yes. Then stand up, get some energy in this amazing body of yours, and please help me welcome to the basement stage, Tony Robbins!
How you doing, kid? How we all doing out there around the world? 1, 2, 3, shake your building. Nice, so there's Annie. Edwina. Julian! Oliver! Whoa! Yes! Get yourself some high fives or virtual high fives or fist bumps. And grab a seat feeling great. Well, you know the drill by now. Now that you're seated, take a quick sip of a little water. Stay hydrated. And then crank the energy in your chair so you learn to be high energy in your chair. Go! Come on! There you go! And make a sound while you're doing it that feels great! If you're feeling great, make a fist say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Awesome. How many of you are just in a couple of days, even just we're only doing this for a short time, feeling a lift in your energy in both your mind and your body? Make some noise if you can feel that, right? And when your energy increases, all of a sudden your mind starts working better. You're really negative, you're really overwhelmed, you're really stressed when you're low energy. When the energy's high, and it doesn't mean you had the best sleep. Of course, I was up all night last night reading all your forums and watching all your videos and deeply moved by them. I'll tell you what I'm even more moved by even than the transformations I've witnessed within you, and I want to thank you all for, is the way you treat each other. You know, most people go on social media, and it's not always a pleasant experience. And you guys are just so loving and so supportive of one another. Give a hand for everybody around the world, 195 countries. By the way, we have 1.5 million people now this morning. 1.5 million people around the world in every country on earth. Oh, yes. So there are just so many. It's been beautiful to see the stacking of how you guys are just, it was so exciting for me to see how much you're taking in and applying. You know, from changing your story to changing your identity to using incantations to condition your new identity. I mean, just you guys are really getting it. And you can just see, you know, somebody start out, well, my old identity was, my new identity is. It's just gorgeous. Last year when I did this, I actually was reading a forum, and I read this person join the challenge again this year. And it was this gentleman that had just gotten out of prison. And I was deeply moved because he talked so honestly and vulnerably about how he had been through so much hell and then he'd given hell to others, especially to women, and how he'd abused them and gone to prison, and then how he really wanted to change his life and make it better. And he got a job as a truck driver, and he was actually attending the challenge in his truck as he was driving because he had to earn his living while he was doing it. And he was just a beautiful man. So I just want to show you where his story was. So just watch for 2 seconds. This is from last year. Oh, yes. Rico, looks like you're on the job right now. Rico's now took himself back to school. He drives a truck. Are you at work right now?
Yeah, I am, Tony.
Well, that's great to see you. Great to meet you in person, brother. I just wanted to say,
thank you, man.
I just want to say I have ultimate respect for you, brother, for your vulnerability, for your truth, and that you're going to inspire people that no one else can touch. Do you want to share with people, because not everybody saw your posts, where you were and where you are, just for a minute?
Can you hear me?
I can. We can see you and hear you.
I'm talking to Tony Robbins. Oh, crazy. Man, Tony. Oh, listen, I'm going to answer your question. You have to tell me what that question is again, because I just forgot it that quick.
That's good. No problem. I said not everybody got to see your post. So would you take a minute and tell people where you used to be and what your new identity is? I thought it was just beautiful, brother.
Well, first, Tony, man, I really want to thank you, man, because I come from Chicago, southwest side of Chicago, a community called Little Village, known as Gangland. Yeah. And at the age of, when I was 8 years old, my stepdad he got murdered. He got murdered in front of us at a doorstep, and so that was a trauma that I've always dealt with my whole life, and no one's wrote a book on how to deal with things like that. And my mom, she kind of went crazy. So I bounced around from relative to relative, and no one understood me, and no one knew how to reach me. And everybody had their own problems. We're talking about the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you had to get over things. There wasn't there wasn't, especially in my culture, Hispanic culture, we're not talking about how we feel. We're not talking about vulnerability. You know what I mean? We're just dealing with it, stop crying, and that's it. Go deal with it. And it was basically like an orphan, you feel me? Like, bounced around from relative to relative, and then, a lot of my relatives were like gang members and stuff like that. So, now they're making me fight all these kids in this neighborhood, and, you just couldn't be soft, you couldn't be emotional, so all that pain, all that hurt, all that anger, all that rage is just, it just turned to rage. It turned to one day you just snap, and it's just who you become. You just become that, you know what I'm saying? And you just, and nobody can talk to you wrong. Nobody can look at you wrong. Nobody can disrespect you. Nobody can, man or woman. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. And if a woman gets out of pocket, you got to put her in her place. This was the mentality. This is how, something that it was the story that I was given, because you couldn't look a certain way. You couldn't look weak. There was no vulnerability. And, you know what I'm saying? So as I got older, you know what I mean? And was involved in the street life and everything like that, I've heard people, but most of, the worst part about all of it is the woman that I've heard, my daughter's mothers, you know what I'm saying, ex-girlfriends, and, and how I mistreated them. And just recently getting out of prison, I was in a relationship with a woman. And, well, first of all, my daughter's mother told me, it's like, you're a great father, but you're a terrible boyfriend. Things like that sit in my brain and resonate, Yeah. And then this other woman, I thought I was the best version of me. I thought I was giving her the best that I was, because I was way different from before. And, but I wasn't. I didn't even understand. I had no clue. And so now I'm like, man, you know what? I don't want to be this monster. I don't want people to fear me. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I want a woman that I can love, you feel me? Yes, and feel loved by me, Yes. And so I said, man, you know what? I don't want to do this to people anymore. And, and I realized that I have to start treating people you know, saying the way I want to be treated, and I got to start treating women the way I want my daughters to be treated.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so you know, I started looking. The first video that I looked up, I typed in positive thinking, and there's a video that popped up, positive thinking. There was a guy talking, and then he had like 1 year clips or something. And then I remember you from Shallow Hal, and I was just like, oh, I know that guy. That's the guy with the big banana hands. And then they, you know, I started looking, and then you started talking about, man, what you really started helping me. Well, I was looking up the depression.
Yes.
You know, and the mindset, the mind state. I was looking at all these, your belief system, you know, the procedure and your perception, and how you got to either look at things differently or procedures, your emotional mastery, the 10 associated feelings. Yes. And I started just every day. Give me a second. Hey, these are thug tears, by the way. These are thug tears, by the way. Give me a second.
That's beautiful,
Tony, man. Thank you, Tony, man. Thank you. You changed my life. You changed my life. You changed the life for my kids. You changed my life, Tony.
Well, you changed it, brother, but I'm grateful I was able to help. But what I love most, I want to tell you, brother, is you talked about if someone looked at you sideways, if someone looked like they're disrespectful, you had to beat the shit out of them. And now he went back to school. He's got a job driving a truck, and people honk at you. And tell them what you do now when people honk at you. Before you would have beat the shit out of them. And like, what do you do now? He gives them a thumbs up and a big smile, man. That's so awesome. But Rico, what I'm most touched by is, you know, you said in your video that you want to reach people who look like you, experience you, who might not come to me because I haven't experienced. I worked in jails, but I haven't lived in the jail. I haven't been through that life, and that's absolutely true. So, brother, I want to make sure I can see you have this hunger to be a better man, but for your family, to be a better man for yourself, to be a better man for your community, and to make a difference. So I'm going to invite you to Unleash the Power Within as my guest, but I want you to come and attend. But I also want you to be able to learn these skills if you want to. And so I have a program with a psychologist. People who are psychologists, psychiatrists get continuing education. So they stay educated. They get credits for going through this program. And it's about 60 hours of programming, and you can go at your own pace. And I'm going to give you that after you go to the UPW if you want it, so you can develop those skills. So when people say, what the hell do I do? You can step up and do it. So I want to invest in you because I know you're going to show up and help other people, brother. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. But you just stay on the line. They're going to give the information. You're going to come to Unleash the Power Within as my guest here. You can do it from wherever you are. And then we're going to bring you out so you can experience our trainer academy and be a part of our team and learn these tools so you can help other people besides yourself. How's that sound?
Man, it sounds like what I was destined to do.
Yes, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. So we're sending you our love, brother. Take good care of yourself. We'll see you soon, Rico.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Congratulations. And I was reading, and there's Rico today, a year later. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Rico, can you hear me, brother?
Can you hear me? I know exactly what I'm talking to this time.
Well, tell us, man, what's changed in the last year? I read your post last night, and I was just so moved by what you've done in the last year already with your life. Share us what's happened in the last year since you've gone to the programs and what's shifted.
Well, the world has shifted.
Yes.
Last year when I started the challenge, you brought me in on day 3 and the first day 1 and the day 2. You know, day 2 I was talking about my identity, and the day 1, you know, I made a video outside of the courtroom. I said I wasn't gonna cry this time. You're not gonna do this to me, Tony.
You make me feel like Barbara Walters or something.
But I was outside of the courtroom, and I made my video, and I said that I was fighting for my daughter Selena. I was fighting for visitation over my daughter.
Yeah.
And it was Man, it was a journey. It was a journey. But I went through UPW, Unleash the Power Within. I want everybody to know that everything that Tony gives you, all this free stuff, the value in it is amazing. But you're going to get to points to where, like when I went to UPW, I got it. Okay, I have to reroute my whole core belief system. How the hell do I do that? It's like, what? Everything? Like I'm not dealing with just one little, everything's a trigger for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything, like I gotta read my core belief system, because that's what it is. You gotta. So when you guys get all this information and you guys get to the points to where, you know, you're gonna get to a point to where what's next, and join these programs, Unleash the Power Within, Day with Destiny. I'm committed to all of it. I'm going to go to all of it. I'm gonna do what I can to make all these classes. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do what I can to do that, and so. I'm learning how to manage my emotions. I'm learning to reroute my belief system, past belief systems where hurt people, violence, you know, because I've seen all your videos, and even, you know, you're like, put a gun to someone's head and you're gonna get instant, you know, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's what it was. That's
you get rewarded for it immediately, yeah. What's happened with your family? Share with people, because that's what was touched me reading your post. Tell us what's happening with your daughter, with your mom, and with your life.
So I got visitation with my daughter Selena.
That's so awesome. Congratulations. That's so great.
I'm communicating with my father. My father was never there. He was a gang member who he got beat in the head with a baseball bat and was just never, it was, you know, partially disabled, was just never really there in my life. He's now in my life.
Wow,
so Junior Sanchez, brother. Thank you for that. He's not only in my life, but he's playing an active role for his grandbaby. So I got my daughter's back for me and him.
Wow.
So shout out to him for that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. And just, yeah, they're my babies right there. I love them, my babies right there. And that's me and Selena going down a slide, and that's me and Selena during our visitation, FaceTime, and my oldest daughter, Alana. So what happened there was you know, I made a breakthrough with someone that I mastermind with, my great friend and colleague, Daniel Masalam. And when we masterminded, we both made this breakthrough about our parents. And hers was about her dad, where she went from dad was a bully to now dad was her hero. And she made this breakthrough, was able to shift. And so it hit me. I was like, oh my God, I got to do the same thing with my mother. The reason why I was a certain kind of way with these women is because of the resentment that I held towards my mother. I says, I have to reach my mom. I haven't spoke to my mom. I spoke to my mom maybe once or twice in the past 10 years. I was like, I got to talk to my mom. I got to let my mom know that. Hold on now. You ain't going to do it to me. Emotional mastery. Yeah, I learned that from you. So.
Well, you make me cry. What the hell are you talking about?
So, and what I just did was as a pattern interruption, learned that Alicia Academy. So I had to call I was like, I got to call my mom. I got to let her know. And I'm going to let her know here today in front of 1.5 million people, every country around the world, that Anne Marie King, you were a great mom. You are a wonderful mom, a great mother.
That's beautiful.
All the pain, all the suffering that she went through, it was just, we're going to create a shift here right now, Tony, an empowering belief system, a new one right here, me and you together. Yeah. All of her pain, all of her suffering, it was just her contribution to the world to raise up this man right here, who is going to impact the world, the community, city of Chicago.
I hear you also are making motivational videos with your daughter.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, real quick, with my mom, I forgave her, and a week later, I was forgiven by my daughter's my oldest daughter's mother, and she allowed her back in my life. We've been FaceTiming.
Well, that's how you got both of them back. Wow.
Both my daughters back.
Wow.
Both my daughters back. And it's because of those motivational videos that I've been making. She's now comfortable with my influence over my daughter.
That's beautiful.
I had to work hard for that. And my little daughter, Beanie, we call her Beanie. She, Beanie TV is her little thing. We do science projects. She wants to be, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? She wants to be a scientist, either a scientist, a basketball player, or a singer. So on our visitation, we do science projects. We go out and we play basketball. And this Friday, tomorrow, I got a recording system. I'm going to bring her. We're going to record our first song together.
Oh, and that's so awesome.
During the whole visitation, I'm Tony Robbins in her butt the whole time. I'm priming her the whole time. I said, so from the beginning to the end, and I give it to her in little pieces, little increments, and then I'll just ask her, continue to repeat it, pound it through the head, and then we play basketball. We play basketball, so we jump the nervous system, and it sticks, right? I'll have her do push-ups with me. We'll do jumping jacks. Like, we'll start dancing. And she does the floss and all this stuff, and so I'm getting it in there. And at the end, I'll go on my Facebook and I'll do a live. And the last time I told her, I says, hey, what does it mean? What's the message when someone is being mean? She says that they're sad inside. I says, you're right. I says, and what should we do? I said, well, she's 8 years old. I said, what should we do? She said, we should try to be their friend. I says, that's right. She says, but if they're still mean and don't want to be your friend, it's okay. Don't let them offend you. I says, why not? She says, so they don't steal your happy energy. I says, that's right, baby.
Rico's starting a coaching business now too. Give it up for Rico, ladies and gentlemen. I love you, brother. Thank you for sharing. What incredible progress in a year, man. Wow. Congratulations, especially with your family. Incredible, man. Love to you. Let them hear you from around the world. It's Rico. Oh my gosh. Well, that's like you see the power of a change in story. It's power of the change in a belief, the power of a change in identity, the power of training yourself with these skills so you don't just know them intellectually, but get them in your body around the clock till he owns it. Like this is a Saul to Paul. If you know the story from the Bible, right? Saul has this experience where God blinds him, knocks him into the desert off his camel, and everything changes. And he says that the things I once loved, I now hate. The things I once hated, I now love. That's basically what Rico's done. From pain to hurt people to helping people and doing non-bullying videos with his daughter. Give it up for him one more time. Pretty amazing. So we've covered a lot of territory in 2 days. Today, our focus is going to be on shifting your financial world. Who's up for that, ladies and gentlemen? Right? Make some noise. Come on, if there's something you want to do out there. Now, it's interesting, most people by age 65, if you look at the statistics, are either dead, broke, or dead. And many of those people live in countries where there's tremendous opportunity around the world, free enterprise countries, the United States being one of those, where literally anyone can create anything, but we don't believe it anymore. Many people don't, because most of us, I don't know what you're like, but most of us have conflicting emotions, conflicting beliefs about money. I know when I was growing up, at least, we were really dirt poor, and we lived in this community. I thought other people were wealthy. They were actually lower middle class, but compared to us, they were wealthy. And my fathers used to have such resentment. Those people, they're part of the clique. They have money. And so I kind of learned to have this negative association, but at the same time, we have money for food, as I've already shared with you. It's why I feed, 100 million people a year. It's just like, oh my God, this mixed emotion. So, when your brain links nothing but pleasure to something, boom, you're going for it. If it links only pain, you're going to avoid it. But what messes us up in life is when we link pain and pleasure to the same thing. Marriage, some people, negative, right? They got mixed emotions. You take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And so for me, there is a point where the amount of pain that came from my family not having economics, like all 4 of my fathers, my mom, when she left them, said I left them because they couldn't support us. So somewhere deep in my little mind as little boys, like, I'm going to make sure my future family never does this. I'm going to make sure that they're taken care of, and I'm going to do well enough not to take care of them, take care of other people. It just became an obsession for me. So I really worked hard. And at a very early age, I was fortunate enough to find things I was passionate about and to do well financially. And at one point, I made a good sum of money compared to anything I could have dreamed of. Nobody in my family had ever done anything like that. And I went back, and to me, all I wanted was love. I'm a love bug, right? That's why I do what I do still to this day. And I got a lot of love now because I've poured out so much love to millions of people, and I have this privilege of all this love coming back to me. But I remember back then, I was like, who do I love? I love my friends. So I came back to the community where I lived to see some of my old friends, and I was like, hey, things are going great. Let's go do something really fun. I want to take you. We're going to fly to Egypt, and let's race camels between the pyramids. I mean, I had these images in my mind of doing the coolest stuff. And instead of like, oh, that's cool, let's do it, my friends are like, oh, easy for you. I'm what? You got all this money. I said, well, I don't have all this money, but I finally earned some, and I'm not asking you to pay for it. I'm fortunate enough, so I want us to do it together. And what I actually got was these negative emotions. How many of you have mixed emotions about money? One part of you says, I want to make it happen. The other part's mixed. It's like, I was almost like, well, if you have money, you're not spiritual. You don't care. And so I tried to get over that. I thought I got over it. I started to get over it. Then I got all this negative feedback. And by the way, it never stops. It's so funny. Remember I mentioned to some of you that I went to Jim Rohn's seminar. It was this huge investment for me, right, at that time. And I met this guy, Mike Keys, who's still a dear friend of mine today, 45 years later. And he called me the other day, a couple days ago, after the first day of the challenge. And he said, Tony, I just want to share a funny story with you. He goes, I was on this plane yesterday, and he said, there's this guy beside me, and he's reading your book. And so I said, oh, what do you think of this guy? And he went on and on saying, wow, he's got some great tools and great things. He goes, and he's doing some really nice contribution, philanthropic things, but it's easy when you're rich. And so, and Mike's pretending he doesn't know me. He listens to the whole story. This guy, someday when I'm rich, maybe I'll do that. But, I'm not rich, so I can't do those things now. And I got to tell you, if you don't give a dime out of $1, you're not going to give 100,000 out of $1 million, much less $1 million out of 10 million versus 100 million out of $1 billion. It's not going to happen. It starts there. And I did. And Mike listened to the whole thing. He goes, well, I've only known the guy for 45 years. And let me tell you, it was like at 17. And when he was out there and he's beg, borrow, and steal to earn enough money so he could go feed 2 families and try to negotiate with a manager to give him a discount so he could buy more food, He goes, and the guy was like, oh. So there's so much in our culture. He was all apologetic then, right? So much in our culture that is this mixed emotion. And when you have mixed emotions, you just don't make the progress. And so there was a point where after, making some money and then thinking it's going to make everybody happy, and it cost me love, it seemed subconsciously. I wasn't aware of it consciously. Suddenly, I just lost my drive. Anybody relate? It's like, what's it all for? People are judging me and everything else. And it's like, and then I found myself, then you get in that habit, right? Where you don't step up anymore and you're tired all the time. And I started overeating. I didn't do drugs or alcohol, but I used food like it was a drug. And I gained 38 pounds and I lost everything financially. And I moved in this little apartment not even apartment. It wasn't even 1 bedroom. It's a single room apartment in Venice, California, when Venice was a really rough place. And I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm eating like crazy, all this junk, and watching Luke and Laura on General Hospital, if any of you ever know what I'm talking about. I used to make fun of people like that. And then I had a day where everything snapped. I won't tell you all the details, but I ran out of gas. I walk home. I get my eviction notice all on the same day. And then a buddy of mine knocks on the door, And, I got 3 locks. I don't want to answer the door. I think somebody wants some money. And I looked through, and I hadn't seen this guy in years. And I kind of opened the door partially. He goes, Tony? Like, you didn't recognize me. I had this scriggly little beard and I had this 38-pound beer belly. And he's like, let me in. And I'm like, oh, what do you want? He said, I'm your friend. Let me in. So I open it up, and he enters this room that's a third the size of this little corner of my basement here. And he goes, Tony, what the hell happened to you? Because, I had no office. I was washing my dishes in the bathtub. I was cooking on a hot plate on a trash can. And he's like, I said, what are you talking about? He goes, this is disgusting. I said, I live by the beach. I like it here. And I did everything to be a jerk to get him out of there. And then after he left, there was something in me that snapped. It's like, I know that who I am as a man, spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, relationship, I'm so much more than I'm living and demonstrating. And so I decided to go on this run. I didn't know about what I taught you yesterday about changing physiology and changing focus, but I decided to go run till I was going to spit up blood. And it was the old days when anybody old enough to have had a Walkman? Anybody out there ever had a Walkman? There's a few ancient people out there, I see. Well, you had to love your music back then because you had one cassette tape, right? So I took this album, and it was this old group of that was back then. It had this group. It was an almost all-female group. It was called Heart, and they had this song called Barracuda. And I just got into this thing and ran like crazy. And I came back, and I was like, I'm going to change my life. And so I remember I sat down that day, and I said to myself, and let me ask you the same question I asked myself. I asked myself at the time, if you could grow more, should you? Yes or no, ladies and gentlemen? Yes or no? If you could give more, should you? Yes or no? If you could, actually step up and own more of what's possible in your life, should you? And then I went to myself, if you could make more money, should you? And my brain went, And I was like, what's the difference? And because I'd hit that place of rock bottom, something in me snapped and said, I don't care whether I get reinforced by the outside world. I'm going to create an abundant life, not just for myself and my family, but for other people as well. I'm going to show people even how to do that. I'm going to be an example of that. I'm going to inspire people, but I'm going to train. I'm going to do it all. And so with that initial inspiration, I still don't know what to do, but I was committed. And at the time, I'd been to these Jim Rohn seminars, and I went to work for Jim Rohn briefly. And at one point, I got a chance to have like a 3 or 4 minute conversation with him. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Rohn, I said, I don't understand. I said, I have 4 different fathers, and they're all different men, but they were all good men. And all of them, we were always broke. They'd lose their job, we'd have no money for food. And I said, I don't understand how that's possible, especially when you look around and you see people making billions of dollars and you see good men and women working hard like this. I don't understand how, a school teacher can make $28,000 a year back then, as I was describing it, and then you read about this hedge fund guy that made $1 billion or 2 or 3. And he said, Tony, he said, listen to me. He goes, I think I can explain this to you. He said, you're right, we're all equal as souls, but we're not equal in the marketplace. I remember saying, what do you mean? He said, Tony, if you go to work for McDonald's, and I don't remember the dollar amount today. Today people make like $8.25 an hour. That's like $17,000 a year. That's poverty. And it was poverty then too. He goes, the reason they make so little is not because the owners are mean. You're not supposed to stay there. It's a first job to develop some responsibility. But he said anyone can learn those tools, those skills in an hour, 2 hours, a day. These days, less than that because they got pictures. They don't even need names. And soon, of course, they'll be replaced by robots and mechanical things. But the bottom line, he goes, it's not a job that adds a lot of value, so it's not worth a lot in the marketplace. Anyone can do it. He goes, and Tony, your school teacher example is a great example, but teachers, unfortunately, are not rewarded for performance. If they did, schools would be better. He said they're rewarded for tenure, just hanging out. I said, but I've had some teachers that were really special. He said, I did too, but not all of them. I said, that's true. And he goes, and they work with, 30 or 40 kids or 20 kids. He goes, now your billionaire guy that you're talking about, he goes, look at what he did. And back then you could get like a 4 or 5% return like in your savings or small investments. Obviously today it's less than 1%. And he goes, so think about that. He said this guy produced a return of more than 50% compounded for the last 10 years. That means people's money is doubling every year, and it's their 401k accounts. It's their pension funds. It's families. He is worth his weight in gold. Because if you're at 1%, by the way, your money doubles every 72 years. If you're working with this guy, your money doubles every 2 years. He said it changes your life completely. So he makes several billion because he adds more value. So here's what you got to understand. If you want to do well financially, you're always going to be a good person. You have to find a way to do more for others than anybody else in your category. In order to do more for others, you're going to have to become more valuable. You're going to have to develop better skills of managing your own emotion, your own abilities. So you can get yourself to do things. You're going to have to master the skills of business or finance or whatever it is you want to help yourself and other people with. But you have to master skills. So he said, work harder on yourself than anything else. The biggest investment you should ever make is in you. And I was seeing just again the other day, Warren Buffett talking about the way to deal with inflation. He said, is invest in yourself. Because if you get more skill, more ability, he said, that's what I did. And he goes, you can't tax it. It keeps growing. You get it forever versus some other investment. It's the most important investment you can make. So invest in yourself, grow, develop, do whatever it takes. I said, well, I don't have a lot of money. He goes, you told me that originally, and you found the money to get in this seminar. Why? Because you knew if you keep doing what you're doing, you're always going to be broke. But if you learn these skills, you can change everything. And what he taught me that day changed my life forever. Because my obsession, got 110 plus companies now. And in every company, the way we do well is I'm obsessed with training everyone, getting the culture to be, how do we do more for others than anybody else? That's what I'm trying to do for you here. It's like, if I can do more for you in 5 days than anybody else, then, hopefully you'll have a chance. We'll have a chance to deepen with you and develop a relationship with you, have you become a client or a friend. But if nothing else, I'm going to add value to society at a level that's extraordinary. And so that is the target that I hope all of you will shift. How many of you think that if you could make more money, you should make more money because it's a part of your capability? Make a hand there. That's right. But to do that, then you're going to have to figure out how to get more skill, more valuable. You're going to have to make the investments in yourself, which most people don't do. And so if you make that, if you continue to do that, you'll see an experience of growth that most people will never dream of having in several lifetimes. So what I really came to understand was, think about where I started. Look where Rico was a year, look where he is now. Where I started, where I am now in my life, all the skills that I have not only given me 110 companies and obviously economic freedom and the ability to contribute on a major scale financially, but it's also brought into my orbit, every living president, except the current one. He's the only one I'm not working with, President Biden. It's brought into my world some of the greatest athletes, business people. My entire relationships are so enhanced because of that growth, and I own myself. And everyone deserves to do that. But it requires the investment of time and energy consistently, not once. I didn't go to some training for a weekend or a couple days, for 2 hours and go, oh, I'm fit for life. I decided this is a way of being. Because if I made this much progress in a short time, imagine what I'd do if I went for full immersion. And that became my next thing. I'm going to immerse myself. How do you learn a language? Well, if you learn a little bit at a time. How many learned a language in high school or college? How many learned a foreign language? And how many of you don't speak squat of it now today, right? So, but if you want to learn a language and you have the time and money, I could just drop you in Rome if you want to learn Italian and pick you up 90 days later with no teacher, and you're going to know it because you're in it 24 hours a day. You're 12, 14 hours of waking time, seeing, feeling, experiencing. So that's what I started to do, and that's my teaching style normally. But what I'm trying to do here is give you just enough to hopefully get you going, inspire you. But to transform, you got to invest that time and energy in yourself. And by the way, here's what I realized. There's only two ways, really, primarily two ways to become really economically free. And one of those ways is to become an investor. That means an owner. The ability to not just be a consumer. If you have an Apple Watch or an Apple iPad or phone and you don't own Apple, what are you doing? Even a little bit of it. But most people don't do it because they think, oh, I got to make $1 billion. They make some number their brain doesn't believe. But maybe my team can throw on the screen. Most of you know compounding. But just to give you an idea, you can work for someone else and you can make small investments, very tiny small. Just save a certain percentage and invest it. And you're going to grow in this free enterprise system. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can invest in an entrepreneur. Can you guys throw up that example, the two men in the compounding, two boys? If you guys have it visually, I'll throw it up there so I can show people the numbers of it. And so while they're doing that, just think you want to be an owner. You're in this, so many young kids today, you know, they think socialism is great. I went to the USSR when it was still the Soviet Union, before it became Russia, and I saw it was completely unequal. Everywhere we stopped on a train going across the world, every time we stopped in a city, there'd be a part in the middle of the city where you'd see people lined up for almost a mile circling around this building. And it would take them hours to go get 1 quart of milk and a half a loaf of bread. But on the train I was with, the other Soviets were supposed to be all equal communism, equality, right? Not equal opportunity, equal experience, like what we're promoting here. And guess what? It wasn't equal at all. They had caviar and champagne, and they were totally privileged. There's always a power center, right? So it made me a capitalist. But take a look at this just for a second. Here's two people, just give you compounding. Joe at 19 years old gets somebody, convinces him, listen, you have very little expenses. Take $300 a month and put it in an account where you just put it in the stock market, where you put it, let's say, in a particular linkage. Let's say one of the ones that has the top 500, for example, of all stocks. And if you look over time, the S&P 500. If you look over time, if you own that, it's gone up over the last 100 years about 10%. So he only starts at 19, $300 a month, stops at 27, so only invests for 8 years. And at $300 a month, that ends up being $28,000. A friend of his watches what he's doing, and when he stops at 27, says, I'm 27, I should start. And he puts in $300 a month and keeps on doing it till he's 65 years old. So for almost 40 years. He ends up investing $140,000. Who do you think has more money? The guy that invested $28,000, $140,000. Well, the truth is time and compounding is your benefit. You don't need a lot of money, just a little time. Here's what the numbers are. Throw it up so everybody sees. $1.8 million for the guy that only invested for 8 years but started earlier. $1.58 million for the guy that did it for almost 40 years and put in 5 times as much money. So compounding is one way. The other way to become successful financially is own your own business. And a lot of people don't do that because, business. To me, business is a spiritual game. Every religion on the planet talks about some version of love thy neighbor like thyself. Do unto others you want them to do unto you. Or the concept of karma, right? Almost every religion, I'm not here to tell you what to believe religiously, by the way. I'm personally Christian, but whatever you believe, I support. But almost everyone has that fundamental principle somewhere within the teachings of that particular great tradition. And so business is a spiritual game because you have to do more for others than anybody else. You have to become more valuable and do more for others. And if you continually do more for others than anybody else, you're going to be in a position that is absolutely extraordinary and you're going to succeed. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to work perfect. My early business, I remember in the early days, I got to a point where one day I came back from a meeting and somebody stole some money. I needed $50,000 to keep the doors open. And I didn't have $50,000, it'd be like $50 billion today. But I figured it out. And by figuring it out, I built muscle. I got stronger. I developed more certainty. And then I had somebody make a mistake and it cost $1 million. It was more money than I had accumulated my entire lifetime was gone overnight. And then I got involved in a partner in business that was really successful, and I signed on what looked like this incredible deal. I would be one of the 4 partners in this offshoot of a company that was doing $1.6 billion. But they didn't tell me some of the debts they'd accumulated. And when I signed this document, it had this legal term called joint and several, which I didn't know what that meant. I thought I'm responsible for my 25%. Well, the company ended up having some lawsuits and some problems. And my partners ran out of money, and so I was the only one with money, and it was a $120 million debt. I didn't have $120 million, which was quite inconvenient, right? But I learned how to get through that. So that's how I've gone from nothing to $7 billion, is I've gone along the way with those steps. And I'm not suggesting you want to go to billions. I just want you to have whatever you want, at least financial security or freedom. Who's committed to financial freedom for you and your family, ladies and gentlemen? Then one of the things that'll get and make it more real for you and made it real for me is I need to find role models. I need to find people that started with nothing like me and really built things. And it didn't happen overnight, right? What I found is most of us overestimate what we're going to do in a year. and we underestimate what we can do in a decade. And you know what, my friends, 10 years from now, you're going to surely arrive. No matter what age you are, 40, 50, 60, 70, 20, 30, doesn't matter. 10 years from now, you're going to arrive. The question is where? And the time to decide is now. If you do the right things now, it can change it all. So here's what I want to do to open your world a little bit. I want to bring you 2 role models, and I'm going to give you a quick set of skills that whether you work for someone else, I want you to think like an owner. Because if you think about how could I grow this business and you're an employee of someone else, you'll become an owner. Either they'll give you a percentage of stock or of profits where you have no risk, you only have upside, or they'll make you a partner, or you'll end up starting your own business if you think like an owner. So think like an owner, and I want to first introduce you to a friend of mine, and she wasn't able to join us in this moment, so I did a recording of an interview, but it's real brief, about 15 minutes, and it's Sarah Blakely. And the reason I want you to meet Sarah, well, you'll see when we play her little interview here. I want you to listen for what made her succeed really. She wasn't lucky, that's what people think, like the guy on the airplane, oh yeah, easy for him, or oh yeah. If you saw what she did, she worked for 7 years selling fax machines door to door and getting rejected. But that developed skills in her that she later used when she came up with this idea of Spanx. But what made her succeed? And what did she do to overcome those challenges? And, you know, if you really think about it, you know, what makes her different? What made her really be able to, you know, what was the motive that drove her? Was it just to make money? And I think you're going to see some patterns, right? We're looking for patterns that cause people to be successful. And she started with nothing. So without any other preview, let's give a hand here for Sarah Blakely. Here we go. Yes. So tell us a little bit of how this came about, if you would.
Okay. So, wow. You know, my journey to becoming an entrepreneur, a lot of people talk about the soundbite in the media for 20 years has been Sarah cut the feet out of her pantyhose and then Spanx is here. But it always starts way before that moment.
Yes.
And a little bit about my background is I grew up wanting to be a lawyer. Okay, my father was a trial attorney, and I used to beg him to get out of school to watch his closing arguments when I was growing up. And I'm a really bad test taker, and I basically bombed the LSAT. Like not once, but twice. And so I had thought my whole life, you know, I debated in high school, I debated in college. My major was legal communications. And then I literally bombed the LSAT. And at that point in time, I was devastated. And then I did the next logical thing. When I realized I wasn't going to be able to go to law school, I drove to Disney World and tried out to be Goofy. Logically, right? But you have to be 5'8" in order to be Goofy, and I'm only 5'6", so I am the perfect height of a chipmunk. I worked at Disney World for 3 months, and that didn't feel like my life calling. So I then...
Fortunately.
And then I got a job selling fax machines door to door. And I did that for 7 years. It was the only job, basically, other than Disney, that I really ever had until I started Spanx. And one particular day, yeah, for all you cold callers, I bow to you. I mean, it's yes, like, that is really, really, really good life training. One particular day, I just was so upset. I pulled off the side of the road, and I literally said, I'm in the wrong movie. Like, call the director, call the writer, cut. This is not my life.
What did we talk about this week, guys? Decide the outcome. You don't know the why. You know the why. You don't know the how, right? The tyranny of how. She's exactly what she did.
Exactly. I knew nothing except for that I was good at sales and I didn't want to sell someone else's product. I thought that would be the ultimate if I could just come up with my own product and sell. Wouldn't that be amazing? And if it could help people or make them feel good, that would be even better. So I wrote that in my journal, and then I had no idea what it was going to be, Tony, but I looked up and I said out loud, universe, please give me the idea. Wow. And I was very specific. I asked for it, and I said, if you give me the idea, I will not squander it. And for 2 years later, I was still selling fax machines. Wow. I cut the feet out of control top pantyhose one night to wear under my white pants. I came home that night, and I was like, this might be my idea.
How did, when you were 16, how did that relate? Am I missing the time?
No, so that's good. So I like to say that Spanx really started when I was 16 years old because two things happened that were really sort of very difficult for me. One is I was riding bikes with one of my really close friends, and she was run over and killed by a car in front of me. And then very shortly after that, my parents separated and my dad left home. And when my dad left home, he walked into my bedroom and he said, "Sweetie, I wish I was your age when I discovered this instead of the age of 40. And he handed me Wayne Dyer's cassette tape series, How to Be a No Limit Person.
How to be a what person?
How to be a no limit person.
No limit person, wow.
And for me, I was 16. I think most 16-year-olds would have chucked that in the bottom of my closet and been like, eh. But because I was hurting so badly, I was open and I was ready and I was needing something. So I put the cassette tapes in and I started listening to them so much that I memorized all 12 tapes front and back.
Wow.
And I started crying in my bedroom and I thought, I have just spent 16 years in school being taught what to think. But Dad, I tried out for this and I was horrible. And he'd be like, way to go. And he'd high five me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he was just changing my definition of failure. Yes. My definition of failure became not about the outcome, but about not trying. And so for me, going through life, my only failures are when I didn't try it because I was scared.
Tell us, how did you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was just going to say, you know, when you don't know how it's supposed to be done, that means you're going to do it differently. My husband mentioned that, but I really do believe that. But this is why most people don't do it without the expertise, the self-doubt,
yes,
the talk track.
How did you deal with that?
You. I'm serious. I've been working on my negative self-talk and my talk track by listening to these, you know, this positive messaging. So I feel like I wish more people out there that don't know how it's supposed to be done would trust that and do that, because that's where like the real, that's what moves life and society forward. That's where change happens. Because if you do it like everybody else, it's not change. It's not innovation.
Did you go, I know at some point you got to Neiman Marcus and Oprah, but what's kind of the sequence? When did you have your first breakthrough after actually getting somebody to believe in it and get the legal done? Did you go out and call on department stores?
I did. I called on Neiman's.
That was the first place you went?
Yeah.
Wow.
So what this goes to not knowing how it's supposed to be done and how it can work in your favor, but I called Neiman Marcus. I looked him up in the yellow pages, and I called the one in Atlanta where I lived, and I said, "Hi, this is Sarah. You know, I've invented something." And the lady started laughing at me. She goes, "Well, we have a buying office, and it's in Dallas, so you should call there." And I said, "Okay." And I learned from my cold calling days not to leave a message, so I called for, I think it was 3 to 5 days before the hosiery buyer ever picked up. I never left a message. I just kept hanging up, and all day at odd times I'd try her. Finally, she answered, and I just said, "Hi, this is Sarah Blakely, and I've invented something that's going to change the car."
Oh, what a great benefit. Boy, you're training to get your message out of you.
Yeah.
You had to.
And she was like, "Okay, mail it to me." And I was like, "I can't mail it to you. You know, I have to come in person." And we went back and forth on that. And I said, "Look, you got nothing to lose. You can kick me out after 10 minutes. Just let me fly there." And she said, "If you're willing to fly here, I'll give you 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I got on a plane, and I had my lucky red backpack from college, which literally, it is lucky. And my friends begged me not to take it, Tony. They were like, "Sarah, no. You're going to the Neiman Marcus headquarters. Do not bring that old, dirty red backpack." And they were like, "Buy a Prada bag, return it the next day, like whatever you need to do." And I was like, "No, I got to bring it. It's good luck." So I flew there. I'm sitting with this lady that is perfect. I mean, her like dress matched her pen, matched her shoes, right? And I'm sitting there like with my red backpack from college, an East Pack, and I had my prototype in a Ziploc bag from my kitchen, and I had a color copy of the packaging. And 5 minutes into my pitch, I was losing her. I mean, I think nonverbals are more important than verbal, and I had learned that in sales. I pay attention to the nonverbal. So, you know, so many times I'd be selling my fax machine, and someone would go, "I love it. It's great, and I'm going to call you tomorrow." And I'd be like, "Oh, God." And I would even say to them, "You know what? You're shaking your head no, but you're telling me yes. That's a little concerning. Like, can you really be honest with me? What's the big issue?" And then they'd be like, "Blah." And then I'd get one last chance to be able to. So anyway, her nonverbals were like clear as day. I was like, "Oh, God." So I just randomly, I said, "Diane, will you come to the bathroom with me? She's like,
talk about breaking her pattern.
She's like, excuse me? I said, I know it's a little weird, but will you come to the bathroom with me? I'm going to show you my product on and not on. And I went into the stall and I showed her under white pants without Spanx. And then I put them on and I came out and I showed her with Spanx. And she immediately went, I get it, it's brilliant, and I'm gonna try it in 7 stores. And I was like, yes!
Wow, that's awesome, that's awesome.
After I got into Neiman's, all of these people in the industry came up to me and they're like, how in the world did you land Neiman's? And I would look at them and I go, I called them. I'm not even kidding, and we would just stare at each other. They'd be like, what do you mean you called them? I'm like, I called them, why, what do you do? They're like, I go to trade shows, and I've been setting up a booth for the last 6 years, and everyone says that around year 6 or 7, Neiman's comes to your booth. And I was like, I didn't even know there were trade shows. So there's so much to be said. That one example, I think, is so telling about trusting, not knowing how it's supposed to be done.
Yes.
And I basically sat in my apartment and said, what is the most effective way for me to get awareness, brand awareness, for no money? And I just wrote all of the ideas down. I was like, send product to people like Oprah, call every radio station in America, call all the editors of every fashion magazine. I went to the store and I bought every fashion magazine and I circled names in the front.
How did you pick your first employees? What was your criteria?
Well, I like to say as soon as you can afford to, hire your weaknesses. And I knew when you're an entrepreneur, you know what your weaknesses are. It's usually what you don't enjoy, too. So it became pretty clear to me that I wasn't good at operations, that I wasn't good at the accounting and the inventory side of the business. Because in the beginning, I'm just going to tell you what was going through my mind over and over again: make it, sell it, build awareness. Because I think a lot of times it's very easy to get distracted on things that aren't really going to give you that return on investment.
Plus, it keeps it simple, and complexity is the enemy of execution, right? You kept it simple; everybody could be focused. I've heard you say, start. Some of your advice often is start small, think big, and scale quickly.
Yeah.
Tell us what that means to you.
I mean, it really means, well, now that I've been doing this 20 years, I kind of realized that a lot of people want to start big, and I was totally cool with not starting big. I was like, I'm gonna start small. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna listen to the customer. What does she like or not like about the product before I iterate the next one? And but I also was scaling fast and building awareness because I wanted people to know I was the first to market. I knew competition was going to come in. It's always coming in. I mean, it's literally like walking through a land field or something. I mean, so my why is all about the opportunity of being a woman born in the right country at the right time, which I had nothing to do with. That's just pure
grace,
luck.
Yes.
And I looked at my mom and my grandmothers and I saw their limited choices, and they inspired me. Their limited choices inspired me. I mean, my mom is 22 years older than me. That is the smallest amount of time when you think about the scheme of how long human beings have been on this planet. By 22 years, I made it that my options were, I could fulfill my own dreams and potential. So my why was very much, I feel like I was doing this for not to squander the opportunity that was given to me. It's just something I have felt since I was a little girl. I'm not sure if I brought it into this lifetime or where it came from, because it just has always been there. And then I just was, for all the women that still don't have this opportunity. So a lot of people ask me also how you handle self-doubt. Self-doubt is, constantly positive messaging from people like Tony and, Wayne Dyer and these amazing souls that have been out there giving us these positive messages. But it's also when you can do something that's bigger than yourself,
yes,
the self-doubt becomes a lot smaller.
That's right. It's not about you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it's all about you, if it's only about you, it's a lot easier to be like, I don't want to make that call today, whatever, or I'm too scared to go through the door at Neiman's. But when I'm going through the door at Neiman's on behalf of all the women that came before me that didn't have this chance, and all the women on the planet who still don't, I could be crying in the car and shaking. I'm going through the door.
Sarah, you're an amazing soul. But the most amazing thing is you show other people that anyone can tap who they are. And it's like you've attended this week, isn't it? You've lived all the things I've been trying to teach everybody. You're bringing them up, which is the most important thing, is to find something you care about more than yourself.
Yeah.
Because business is a spiritual game. It's all about how can you do more for others than anybody else, but you only do so much for yourself. So you found that, and it's beautiful, and you haven't lost it over 20 years. That's what's really special.
And, you know, I had somebody ask me, like, how do you find something that you're that passionate about? And one of the things that I like to just tell people, it's just a simple little litmus test of it, is like, what makes you cry? Whatever makes you cry or what makes you feel really sad, that's it, you know, there it is. And there's always a way, no matter what your business is, if it's financial, if it's this, if it's that, there's always a way to tie it into something that means more to you than the business. Of course, the customer means everything to you. You ask me why I'm still doing this 20 years later. I care so much about the woman. And I also, not only when I was trying to solve an undergarment issue for myself, I stood on the floors of these manufacturing plants in North Carolina, and I realized there weren't any women in the room. And I was like, wow, you know, and it didn't really seem like they were caring, the industry was caring about how we felt. And so I stood on the floor that day, and I remember saying to myself, like, I'll be that person. I'll be the girl that cares about how the women feel in these things. And so, you know, that's been the lens for me at Spanx. And there's still so much left to make that I can make better for her.
Yes.
Yeah. I got a chance to be on QVC. And I came off of an 8-minute segment and had sold something like 20,000 pair. And, you know, standing in the department stores, a really good day would be selling like 50. I'd get to the hotel room and be like, I sold 50 today. So I went into the green room, and I have this very visual moment of like collapsing on the couch there and thinking, I'm not a one-hit wonder, I'm a company. That's my second product, and they like it.
Give it up. Give it up for Sarah, everybody. Stand up, stretch your body for a moment. Stand up, stretch your body. Wake it up. 1, 2, 3, go. Make a sound that makes you feel great while you're doing it. Make some noise. Whoa. Yes. Get some virtual high fives or some real ones. Grab a seat feeling strong. If you're feeling strong and inspired, make that fist say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Awesome. Did you enjoy, Sarah? Oh, come on, let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. I saw we kind of broke the internet. Both YouTube and Facebook went down in the middle of all this. But if you refresh, or some of you are sharing that, it'll come right back on here. They're only off for a little bit. So I hope what you pulled from that was, here's a woman just who found something and made her go. And what it was, if you listened, was a sense of urgency. Now, when her friend died, it's like, you know, life is not a dress rehearsal. You only get so much time. I got to make it happen. Secondly, her core belief that her dad helped her install, that you could install for yourself, is the only failure is not to try. He would literally be mad at her if she hadn't failed something that day and couldn't tell him what it was, because it means she wasn't growing. If you're not failing, you're not growing. You're not learning. And so she really got that instilled in her. And to go from being in a sweaty mascot outfit at Disneyland and selling fax machines for 7 years, but she learned different things. And then what'd she do? She did what no one else did because she didn't know any better. Sometimes not knowing any better is the best thing that can happen for you. It's just taking massive action. Calls Neiman's and goes there and pays attention and delivers this. And you could see it just grew and grew. And she's been doing it now 20 years. Youngest female billionaire in American history. Give a hand for Sarah Blakely, ladies and gentlemen. here's what we're going to do. I want to give you the simplest, fastest, easiest business lesson I've ever gotten that I still use to this day in every company I have. And I can teach it to you in 12, 13 minutes. So sit up in your chair and let me give you the 3 keys to grow any business. You go, well, Tony, I don't own a business. I'm an employee. If you're an employee and you can help a business grow, you can get profit in that business, a percentage of it. You can own a piece of that business, or you may decide to start your own business at some point, because what this is really about is creating your own economy, not being tied. You know, when they're asking, you know, again, Warren Buffett, what do you do? Inflation is 7 or 8%. He said, well, if you're 7 or 8% more productive, you're even. If you're 10 or 15% more productive, you're doing well. But we could all become, you know, Jim Rohn. I remember Jim Rohn asked me, he said, Tony, can a person make twice as much money in the same amount of time? And I said, yeah. He said, could they make 5 times as much money in the same amount of time? I said, yeah, I know there are people that do that. Could you make 10 times more? And I said, well, yeah. And he said 100, then he said 1,000 times. And I was like, 1,000 times? And he gave me examples. I go, well, obviously you can, but only if you become more valuable. Only if you master the skills that allow you to grow. And one of those skills is how to grow a business, whether you're an employee or a person. So who's willing to operate like you're an owner right now? Make some noise, all right? If you operate like an owner, you'll become one. So here's where this lesson comes from. I'll give you context. If I said to you, do you remember where you were in 1999, right before the turn of the new millennium? How many are old enough to remember the New Year's of 1999-2000, right? And if you watch the news, of course, everybody was scared to death because there's something that was going to destroy the world. There's always something going to destroy the world, right? Does anyone remember what it was? Put it in the chat if you remember what it was. What was going to destroy the world way back then? Oh, yeah, Y2K. All the computers in the world on the year 2000 weren't programmed properly. All of us going to go down. We wouldn't be able to have airlines. We wouldn't be able to have credit card. Nothing's going to work. And it was all BS like it usually is. It's the sky is falling. But remember where you were in 2000. Where'd you live if you were awake and alive at that point? Because some of you are young. Maybe you weren't here yet, but most of you were. Where were you living? What were you doing? And what if somebody came to you and said, hey, I've got this investment opportunity. I'd like you to invest in my company. We have a company. We're going to sell shoes to women on the internet, the new thing, the web. Now, if you heard that back in 2000, would you invest your money, do you think, honestly? How many think you would take the big risk, invest your money in a company selling shoes to women online in 2000? No way. Why not? Put it in the chat. Why wouldn't you want to invest in it in 2000? Somebody says we're going to sell shoes to women online. Yeah, they got to put them on. So guess what? They got enough people excited in those days to invest and start the company, and very quickly they were going out of business. They're going bankrupt. Nobody was buying. And they didn't know what the hell to do. And so they brought in this guy named Tony Hsieh, and their little company here was called Zappos. How many are familiar with Zappos? Right? And Tony Hsieh was a young man, but he'd already succeeded in business a couple times. And he's a friend of mine. He passed away recently, and God rest his soul, beautiful man. But he brought to these guys, he said, you know, I think you're going bankrupt, but I don't think you have to. He said, I think you could turn this business around, but you got to do 2 things. And I've added one more that's really simple. I think of these are the 3 things. I want you to know, I didn't even create these. These are just fundamental. And he said, the first thing you need to succeed in any business, again, whether you're an employee, you want to help the business grow, or whether you're an owner, is the first thing is you got to know who is your ideal client. Who is your ideal client? Not who is your current client. An ideal client is somebody who's going to stay with you when the economy goes down, when a recession hits. An ideal client is going to love your product and buy more of it. An ideal client's going to refer more people. They're going to talk about you in social media. That's your ideal client. You have lots of clients, but who's your ideal client? And he said, you want to know everything about them. What do they love? What do they hate? What excites them? What creates fear for them? What's a pain for them? Because if you know what they love and what they hate, you can find a way to meet their needs with a unique product or service. It's like I always tell people that life is found in the dance between what you desire most and what you fear most. That's where people play. So if you want to expand your life, you either have to expand what you desire and reduce your fear. Your life gets bigger. You have more options. So he said, you want to know everything about them. And then once you know your ideal client, step 2 is you need an irresistible offer, an offer that is so good that people say, I'd be crazy not to at least try this darn thing. And he said, here's the good news. You have number 1. You have the ideal client, because when it comes to shoes, women have a different relationship with shoes than most men. Now, there's no absolutes. Some men love shoes. But the vast majority of men wear the same shoes, similar. They don't care. But a woman, ladies, if shoes make you feel happy, if you can put on one shoe and you're one kind of woman, put another shoe, you're a different kind of woman, make some noise that men out there know that you've met. That's it. Come on, shake your hand. Let them see you. If shoes create happiness, let's see it. You know, guys don't usually pay attention to shoes. Guys, you want to pay attention to a woman's shoes, by the way. Wow, those are amazing shoes. That works really well, right? So the bottom line is, he goes, they're passionate about shoes. Shoes make them happy, so you already have the ideal client. What you're missing is an irresistible offer. Your offer's terrible. Let's look at your offer. Your offer says, buy as many shoes as you want from us, and we'll ship them to you. You can try them on at home, and if they don't work, you can ship them back, and we'll give you a refund. But the problem is they got to pay all the shipping there to try something on. If it doesn't work, they got to pay the shipping back. They're not going to do it. That's why no one's doing it. And so the three guys that started Zappos before Tony joined them said, well, what would you suggest? What would be an ideal offer? He said, make it so convenient. That's the secret. He said, you should say, buy 20 pairs of shoes. We will pay the shipping so you can try them on at home. And if any of them don't fit or you don't like them for any reason, send them back and we'll pay the shipping back as well and refund your money. Now, if you're an investor in this company and someone says, this is our new offer, we're going to pay, let them buy 20 pairs of shoes if they want, pay the shipping there, and if they want to send them all back, pay the shipping back and refund the money, you're going to go, get away from me. We'll go bankrupt. That's exactly what these guys said. They said, we'll go bankrupt. He goes, you're already going bankrupt. You might as well try an irresistible offer. But he said, but I'm telling you something. You don't understand who your ideal client is. He said, women will take these shoes and try them on. And ladies, I want you to confirm for me in the chat or visually when I ask you this. He said they'll try them on, and if it isn't perfectly fit, but they really like the shoe, they'll still keep the shoe. Now, guys would say that's impossible. Ladies, raise your hand if you've kept shoes that didn't really fit for a future time in which they're going to fit. Make some noise. Shake your hand so people see it's true. Okay. I couldn't believe it either. He goes, yeah, that's what they'll do. And you know what? Because he knew the client, he made an irresistible offer, and it worked. They kept the shoes. If they'd sent them back, he'd be out of business. And by the way, 7 years later, they sold the company for $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion to Amazon. And they're not the cheapest. They are just the best at providing happiness. There is a third key to me in my mind, because this is what they did even though he didn't say it. The third thing is, if you know who the ideal client is, what they want, what they need, what they desire, and you can put together an irresistible offer, then the third step is over-deliver. Give them way more than you promise. And so they throw an extra belt in there or an extra shoe, or they do something special for people, and they're like, oh, this company's unbelievable. And that's why it grew. So this is what I've done in every company I own. We figure out who's the ideal client, and then we make the most irresistible offer possible, and then we do even more than we promise. And that's how we create something called raving fans. You don't want satisfied customers. Satisfied customers go away. Raving fans stay. They become your clients. And so that's been the secret to everything that I do in life and in business. And also, it's the spiritual game. Find out who it is, step into their shoes, care for them, make something irresistible, and then do more for them than anybody else, and you'll build a brand. How many follow this? Say I. Say I. Now, some of you may say, well, gosh, Tony, but I'd like to start a business, or I'd like to help this business grow. I'm an employee in, but these are tough times. I mean, it's recession and inflation. But you know what? There's always something for people to be worried about. That's why I mentioned Y2K. There's always something. But no pandemics forever, no recessions forever. But I'll tell you what's amazing. If we're in the middle of a mental winter, financial winter, and you figure out how to serve people, you'll grow no matter what the economy is. And when you grow in winter, you'll grow forever. I'll tell you an interesting statistic. Of the top 1,000 companies in the world today, they're called the Fortune 1000. Of those, there's 4 seasons a company could start in. Sometimes it's springtime. Things grow easily in springtime. Everybody's optimistic. Say 1946 after the war to like 1963 was pure optimism, right? You know what that feels like. And then there's another season you get born. It's summer, where you're working your tail off and you don't seem to get the return. Then there's another great season, fall. You get all these rewards and it's super easy. You have a pulse and they'll give you a mortgage. You don't even have a job, right? Remember that? Remember those days? That was fall. And fall is always followed by winter, a tough time. And during the tough time, most people pull back and freak out and give up. So of the Fortune 1000 that could have been born in any of these, and winter would be a recession or depression. Of the Fortune 1000, 65% or more were started in a winter. That's right, started in a recession or depression. CNN in a recession. Federal Express in a recession. Disney in a depression. Chevron in a depression. I go on and on and on and on and on. They're all the biggest companies. The vast majority of them start in winter because if you do well in winter, you'll do well forever. So when COVID hit, I've been through all those seasons, by the way. When I started my business, interest rates were 18% in 1978. When I started my business, I was 18 years old. I mean, imagine if it was people right now freaking out about 7% interest rates. They won't buy a house. You imagine it was 18%, they'd be lynching the White House at this point, right? They'd go crazy. So it was tough times. We had inflation and we had huge interest rates and nobody wanted to do anything. Everybody was afraid. It was called stagflation. But I did well. I figured a way to do well then. And so here I am 45 years later, 46 years later, still able to serve people. Whereas other things have come and gone throughout that time. If I'm making sense to you, make some noise so I know I'm getting through to you. And by the way, COVID was a horrific experience. Many people lost family or couldn't even see them when they're passing or go to their funeral. We were locked up in our homes. Our kids were locked up in most places. Fortunately, not here in Florida where I live, but everywhere else. It was horrific. So much fear. But guess what? You know, people who didn't give up could find a way to do well then. Some businesses actually grew after they got over the shock. Our business grew. I can remember getting the phone call. We did this birthday party my wife put on for my 60th birthday. And I said, I don't want a party. And she says, honey, I said, if that has a purpose, what if we raise money for, trafficking? And so we did, and we raised $19 million. I put $5 million in, so it was 14 plus 5. So $19 million, we've saved 22,000 children, give you an idea, through this process. And it was like this high, like this is what my life's about. And 3 days later, I'm still on the high of the beautiful party and people making a difference, and the kids were helped. And I get a phone call, and the governor of California, we're about to do a seminar in San Francisco, San Jose area, and it's a stadium, so it's 15,000 people. And the governor changed the rules and said you can only have 100 people in a stadium. I mean, obviously that doesn't work, right? Or 10 people in something else. And so what did I do? Well, first thing I did was freak out because it's like, this is not, I got lots of companies, I got plenty of money, but it's like, this is my mission and people need us right now. They need us more now than ever. And you're going to shut us down? No way. So what do you do if you're an entrepreneur? You think outside the box. They go, we're going to Vegas. They'll never shut down Vegas. The week after we moved everybody to Vegas, a week before the seminar's supposed to stop, they shut down Vegas. So I was like, all right, we're going to Dallas, Texas. The governor there, he's made it clear he's not going to shut down. And I have a friend there that owns a church, 15,000 people. We'll do it there. And sure enough, they shut down 2 weeks before, after everybody moved to go to Texas. So I said, all right, we're going to do this in movie theaters. They only let you do 10 people in a theater, but we'll have big screens, great music. They'll still have some personal interaction with other people. We'll do it in movie theaters. We'll do 1,500 movie theaters, 10 people each. We'll get all 15,000 people in there. They shut down the movie theaters. So then I was like, what am I going to do? And I saw somebody do a little webinar with two 52-inch screens. And I was like, I'll cut my throat first. I mean, I'm used to a stadium where it's rock and roll and where people have just pure energy. And so I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find a building. We're going to buy a building with 50-foot-high ceilings. I'm going to put up 20-foot-high LED screens this wide all around me, 50 feet around me. So unlike this little basement, I can see every person every moment. I can see your name, see your kids, see what's going on. I can have this incredible interaction. And then I went to the founder of Zoom and I said, I want to bring people up like 10 stories tall and see everything and interact with them. And I said, the problem is you only have 1,000 people available on Zoom. I need like 25,000, then 50,000, 100,000. And Eric was a fan of my work, and he bent over backwards, and he made it all happen. And we built this software where you could shake your phone, so instead of clapping, you could shake it, and it sends an electrical signal. So if one person does it, you barely hear it. But when 10,000 people do it, it's thunder. And so it's authentic. And then I found all these ways to make it work, and then I put this group of people together, and they said, Tony, this is a big job. Maybe we could do it in 9 months. I said, you don't understand, you got 9 weeks, right? And they all looked at me, and 2 of them said it couldn't be done, so I let them go and hired 2 other companies. And we literally, the night before at 5:30 a.m., the morning of, we finished the construction. And we did our first UPW to serve people all over the world in 195 countries, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that incredible? And what's so cool is, now I never would have thought it worked this, but it's so cool because we've created a community that's worldwide. And because we can all see and feel each other on a huge scale, you know, not like we're doing here, we can do it as if we're in a stadium. There's no difference. And so people don't have to do what they used to do, which is fly across the country or to another country to see me. And they had to leave their family, and they had to go through all the travel hassles, had to pay for a plane, had to rent a hotel for 4 days, had to get an Uber or rent a car, go for 4 days, leave their family, and then start the whole thing all over and come back, and then their family had no idea what happened. Why are you so crazy and happy, right? And so now it's happening in people's homes. Now we still do it where they can come live too, but the digital approach is great. So we're in literally, there are 195 countries in the world just like here. The UPW now has 195 countries in it, people from all over the earth in every time zone going through this experience. So I want you to know, when it's tough times, what that does is, you know, tragedy, challenge, problems, if you don't let them destroy you, they drive you. And if you come up with new answers, you can do anything. So I want to introduce you one more person, and then I'm going to give you a little key thing here at the end here that's really fun. And this, so I can stack it. So you see it's not just me and it's Sarah. And this is a lady that years ago I got a chance to meet. She used to work at Denny's as a waitress, and she'd be listening, like Sarah did, to my audio programs. And she developed this dream, this idea of what she wanted to create. And she decided she wanted to create a cosmetic line for women, for normal human women, not models that, you know, don't eat, and how she could beautify them. And it was a giant dream, and people told her she couldn't do it for so many different reasons. So rather than me tell you the story, let's meet Jamie Kern-Lima. Give it a hand for Jamie Kern-Lima, ladies and gentlemen. Sold her business, It Cosmetics, for $1 billion and became the CEO. Give it up.
Jamie Kern-Lima is her name. She landed on Forbes' list of America's richest self-made women. Go, Jamie.
Jamie Kern-Lima.
Jamie climbed the As Seen on TV ladder by turning her brand from a startup in a cramped studio apartment to a splashy company worth over $1 billion.
It's interesting how life works out when you don't let no stop you. I thought I was going to spend my whole career as a TV news anchor. I love hearing other people's stories, but my hereditary rosacea started getting really bad. The makeup would break up. And one time live on air, I wiped my forehead, not realizing half my eyebrow came off. So I did the rest of the newscast with one eyebrow. It was this aha moment for me. We started It Cosmetics in our living room, but we got no's from everyone. Ulta Beauty told us no several times. Sephora told us no. QVC told us no. I heard no more times than I can count. I cried myself to sleep at night more times than I can count. I tried to figure out how to not let hearing no equate to doubt in my own head. We finally got our chance on QVC. It's a 10-minute segment, that's all you get, and if you don't hit sales goals, you don't come back. I don't know how many minutes in it was, I think close to 9 or 10, but the sold out sign came up, and I just looked at the host and tears started streaming down my face, because at that point, we could barely afford the inventory that we had to buy for QVC to do the 10-minute airing. This is my skin.
But Jamie didn't rely on her beauty queen good looks. In fact, she says it was only when she rubbed off all the stardust that her customers grew to love her and her products.
The single biggest decisions I made that have impacted the trajectory of our brand and sort of grew it from our living room into a $1 billion company was those decisions that I just went with my gut on.
Our next guest sold the cosmetics company that she created in her living room to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion, becoming the first female CEO for that company in over 100 years.
And my, have you come a long way since then, Ms. JKL.
My friend Jamie Kern, the founder of IT Cosmetics, became a huge success. She was on QVC 200 times a year.
Her first book is called Believe It, How to Go From Underestimated to Unstoppable.
Believe it. Believe it.
Believe It, which just celebrated its 7th week on the New York Times bestseller list.
First of all, your book is amazing. You are a genius.
You're really an incredible person. And like I said, we've texted back and forth because you're so inspiring and so generous.
You're just pure vibrancy and vitality for life. I think is infectious.
You know that I would only do this with you. It's my favorite interview ever that's ever been on my show. I usually get other people crying on my show. You actually got me crying on my own show today. So
there's not a more sincere human being that I've met. There's this desire to serve that is so sincere it can't be faked. And there's a level of persistence and a level of caring and a level of love in this human being that has made her who she is, who has such a living example of what her book's about.
You have been brave and you showed up and you made a difference, and thank you.
You are a woman who has been showing up for people for so long that when you do something, the whole freaking world shows up.
How do we get unstuck from those things holding us back? How do we step into all of who we are? And how do we learn to hear our own gut so we can trust it and become the person we're born to be?
Ladies and gentlemen, in person, give it up to Jamie Kern Lima, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for her. Hey, Jamie. Oh, come on, let her hear you from around the world. It's Jamie.
so grateful to be here.
Oh, yes. Jamie, so great to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to hand the ball to you so you can share your story. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. So great to be here. Hello, everyone. What an honor. Oh, my goodness. I honestly, just watching that video makes me a little emotional, because what a lot of people know is that that story, that video, the things in there almost didn't happen. Like, they literally almost didn't happen. My real story is a girl who spent most of my life not believing in myself. Like I don't know if you can relate to this, but I've always had these kind of big hopes or goals or dreams, but I never really understood how to believe that I was worthy of them, or that I was smart enough or talented enough or enough, period. And there was one moment that changed my life, and that's why I am emotional right now, because all together right now, all 1.4 million of us, right? 1.4 million of us, think about that, by the way, we're all together live right now. Like, the collective energy and power and beauty and possibility, we are all together live, right? And when I think about this moment, what I think about is about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, I was working, as Tony mentioned, as a waitress at Denny's. I saved my tip money to get Tony Robbins' audio tapes and then to buy a ticket to a seminar. I walked in this seminar. It was in Washington State a little over 20 years ago, very similar to Unleash the Power Within, if you've been there. And I went to the very back row, literally not like sort of the back, the very back row. And there was over 10,000 people there. And what I didn't know was that day would literally change my entire life. Like, it was there at Tony's seminar that I made the decision to believe that where I come from, right, where we come from, doesn't have to determine where we're going. And it was that day that I made the decision, right, to assign new meaning to things, and to learn that when you change the meaning you assign to things, you can change your entire life. It was that day that I actually decided to believe, like, maybe these crazy, wild hopes and dreams I have for my life, like, just might be possible. So that day was huge for me. And standing here now with each one of you is such an honor, because here's what I know. Here's what I know for sure is self-doubt kills more dreams than almost anything else,
Whether you are a man, a woman, no matter what you do for your profession, doesn't matter. Self-doubt kills more dreams than almost anything else, right? And for me, it literally, almost single-handedly changed the course of my life. And it was really learning how to believe in myself. It wasn't learning necessarily just business strategy or, all the things that we can learn. It was learning how to believe in myself that really changed the course of everything. It's really how I started in my living room with close to no money and then built $1 billion company, right? Because here's the thing, whether you have big hopes and dreams in your life, in your business, or maybe in your personal life, or in your family, or in relationships, right? In your love life, wherever your big goals are right now, it's not enough just to have clarity and know what they are. And a lot of times we think, okay, I know what it is, I'm going to go for it, that's enough. It's important, but it's not enough, right? And even if you know why, a deep why for it, so important. You know why with clarity, it's so important, but it's actually still not enough for your hopes and dreams to happen, right? Then when you take massive action, which so few people do, when you take massive action, you go for it, it's still not enough. You also, and most importantly, have to learn to believe you're worthy of your hopes and dreams, right? It's that identity piece that Tony talks about so brilliantly. And that is the one thing that truly changes everything. Because here's the thing, you don't rise and accelerate to the level of your hopes and goals and dreams. You actually fall or plateau to the level of your identity. Because you can only ever accelerate to the level that you believe you're worthy of. So for me, that's really the one thing that's changed everything in my life. And why I'm so honored to share the next few minutes with you. We got a few minutes together, y'all, today. So we're not just going to make it through. We're going to make it count. I hope you're all with me. We're going to do some real stuff in the next few minutes all together, okay? We're going to make these next few minutes count. But when I think about 1.4 million of us right now, right? Imagine if we all together just turned down the volume, even a little, on self-doubt and turned up the volume on self-belief. Imagine what would happen. When I imagine 1.4 million of us doing that, I get emotional about it because I think about what's possible. I think about, I imagine the businesses that might be launched and birthed right now. I imagine the unhealthy relationships that might end. I imagine the person that might say, I'm going to choose to love me even if it means I lose you. I imagine the books that might be written starting today. When I imagine what's possible, that is just why I'm so honored and grateful to be here. And so in our next few minutes, if you're going to hopefully join me at Unleash the Power Within, I'm going to go so deep on so many things, including my story. But in the next few minutes here, I'm actually going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to share something I've never shared on any stage before. But it's one tool and one thing that really, truly changed my life. And I want to share it with you. And my hope is that moment I had, right, as a Denny's waitress, which, by the way, I love that job. I love that job. That moment that I had, though, with Tony at that event where I was like, oh, wow, as of today, my life is never going to be the same again. My hope and prayer for you is maybe in these next few minutes we share together, or maybe for you it's one of the 5 days of this challenge, or maybe it's at UPW coming up. My hope and prayer is you have that moment in your life where you're like, okay, from this day forward, my life's never going to be the same again. So I want to dive in, and I just want to kick this off with one question for you to think about. If you had no fear of failure or rejection, what would you do? And share with me in the chat, because I'm going to read. Oh, I love the chat. I see you guys in there right now. I want you to share this in the chat and write it down. If you had no fear, really think about this. If you had no fear of failure and rejection, what would you do? What would you do right now, right? I see a lot of people sharing in here. This is amazing. Start the business, write the book, be the best grandmother ever. I want you to think about that right now, because here's what I know, and this is what I'm going to talk about for the next couple minutes. When you change your relationship with rejection, you change your life. When you change your relationship with failure and rejection, you single-handedly change your life. And for me, this was really one of the big things that changed everything on my journey, but it can apply to you in every part of your life. So, for me, I have hereditary rosacea. You saw it maybe in the video. It gets really red and bumpy. And, I had this dream, not just of launching a makeup company that would cover and solve my issues, because I couldn't find anything that would work, but I wanted to do something actually way bigger. Because what I realized on that journey, right, was that, why there's thousands of makeup companies. Why won't something work for me? Then I realized, I've never seen a makeup company with models that look like me, that have bright red, bumpy skin, and they're like, look, selling the product. So I actually had a bigger vision where I was like, well, my whole life as a little girl, I love those beauty commercials. Like, I aspired to look like them and the ads in the magazines, but deep down inside, they always made me feel like I wasn't enough. So I had this vision where I was like, if I launch a product that actually works for me, what if I could change the whole definition of beauty in the whole industry, right? And put real people as models, like every age and shape and size and skin tone and skin challenge, and call them beautiful models and mean it. And what if I could help shift that definition of beauty for every little girl out there who's about to start doubting herself, and every grown woman who still does. So I had this big vision, but when I launched the business, y'all, any of you who are entrepreneurs, you're going to probably connect with this, or maybe you're putting your art out into the world, or your works out into the world, your writing, whatever it might be. I was faced with so much rejection, right? From the moment I launched that business, it was over 3 years before I could afford to pay myself. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's, no after no after no after no. You saw QVC in that video, and they told me no for several years. We eventually built the largest brand in their history, but it was years of not just no's, but you're not the right fit, right? A lot of the big department stores, the no's that they shared were so painful. And so many of us are so tempted to quit after 1 no, or 5 no's, or 10 no's, or 20 no's, right? Because we think like, it must mean we don't have what it takes. I remember getting down to our last few dollars, literally, and there was a potential investor that was interested, and he got in a hold of our product, and I was like, this is going to be huge. If he invests, he'll get me into all these stores that keep telling me no. And we did all the meetings, and we flew up for the final meeting, and his team was amazing, and I thought he was going to change my life that day, and he did, just in a different way than I knew. We got to the very end of the meeting, and I poured my heart out with our whole future product pipeline. And he was standing about 3 feet from me in person, and he says to me, congratulations, it's a really great product, but it's a no. We're going to pass on investing in IT Cosmetics. And this was my, 4th or 5th hundred no, right? And I was just gutted, and I said, okay, can you tell me why? And he got really quiet, and he says, do you want me to be really honest with you? I'm like, yes, please. And he says, I just don't think women will buy makeup from someone who looks like you with your body and your weight. And when he said those words to me, it was like a lifetime of body doubt and self-doubt, flooded my body. I actually never got mad at him at all. I felt no anger. I was just gutted, right? And something happened in that moment when he said those words to me. I just don't think women will buy makeup from someone who looks like you with your body and your weight. I got this deep feeling right here. I could feel like it was yesterday, a deep knowing that said he's wrong, And in the pit of my stomach, I didn't know how I was going to prove it, but I knew it, right? But I had this big rejection. And what I learned to do is what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes. I learned to change my relationship with rejection and fear of failure. And y'all, it changed my entire life, literally my entire life, okay? So here's what I want to ask you, and then we're going to dive into it. And be super, super honest, okay? In your life right now, when you feel rejected, or you feel like you failed at something, or you put your idea out there and no one loved it, or you put your work out there and no one bought it, or you hope to get invited to the party and the friend didn't invite you. When you feel like you've failed or been rejected, what is the first thought you have? What is the first thought you have? Be very honest, and I want you to write it down, and if you're able, please share it in the chat, right? One person says anger, one person says I'm not good enough, one person says they're right? Let's see, we have Sonia saying I'm not good enough. You guys, these are good ones. These are as mean as mine are. For me, most of my whole life, every time I was rejected or would fail, for me it was always like, oh yeah, there's proof again, I'm not enough, right? Some version of I'm not smart enough, or I don't have what it takes, or I'm unqualified. That was always what I told myself, right? Every time. And remember what Tony just taught us yesterday. Anything you add on the end of I am starts to become your identity, right? So think about this. I see a lot of you nodding right now, some of you getting emotional, but think about this, right? As we go through our life, when we're thinking those things to ourselves, right? So one of the things that I did was I'm like, oh, I need to change my meaning I attach to rejection and failure. If I'm going to get this business off the ground, if I'm not going to quit, if I'm going to go after my dreams, I need to figure that out. And y'all, I started Googling every hero in my life, every person I admire. And what I realized is all of them, the most successful people in the world, they failed the most. They failed the most, right? And the more I Googled it, I'm like, oh, the people who succeed the most are the people who fail the most, because they're the people that try the most. And I had that epiphany, and I decided that day to rewrite my definition of rejection. Every time it happened to me, it used to be, oh, I'm not enough. I committed that day, right? And then I wrote a few more. Every time rejection happens to me, I instantly think like, oh, I'm victorious, because it means I'm one of the brave ones willing to go for it. It means I'm one of the brave ones willing to go after my dreams. And literally to this day, I believe it in my core, right? Anytime that old belief comes up, I instantly replace it with, I'm one of the brave ones willing to go for it, right? That investor who said, women won't buy makeup from someone who looks like you. I remember that moment, you guys, the second he said that, when I got that feeling. For me, I felt like it was God like whispering something to me. For you, it might be the universe or whatever you believe. I'll never tell you what to believe. But when he said those words to me, I got this feeling that said, no, you're not rejected. Like, I hid your value from him because he's not assigned to your destiny. And I don't know who needs to hear this today, because it can apply to you. Maybe if it's a past relationship that, really hurt, or someone in your family, or something that didn't go your way. For you, it might be God or the universe or your creator saying, oh, no, you're not rejected. Like, I hid your value from them because they're not assigned to your destiny. And when you have new definitions like that, they change your life. One that I use all the time is, rejection's God's protection. And I believe it. Like the day that I sold my business to L'Oreal, we sold for $1.2 billion cash. It was all over the press. It was on the homepage of the Wall Street Journal. It was everywhere. That was the first day, y'all, that I heard from that investor, the first time in over 6 years that I had heard from him. And he said, congratulations on the L'Oreal deal. I was wrong. And what I wanted to say to him, I don't know if you remember I don't know if you remember that movie Pretty Woman, where like they wouldn't help her in the store, and then she goes back in. Like, what I wanted to say to him was, big mistake. Like, huge. Like, I can give you 1.2 billion reasons why it was a huge mistake. But I didn't say it to him. I kept it classy, because here's what I know. I had changed my relationship with rejection, right? And I was like, oh, if I had partnered with him when I was so desperate and had no money, he probably would have changed everything about how I built the company, right? So it's like, oh, rejection's God's protection. So for me, that was the new definition. So I want you to take a moment right now and write a new definition for you that is true, that is authentic. Every time that, you're fearing even going for it, right? You're fearing failure, or fearing rejection. What is that new definition for you? Literally, you guys, walking out here, 1.4 million people, my old definitions are tempted to kick in, but I'm like, oh, right? I'm one of the brave ones, willing to go for it, willing to pour my heart and soul out, and I tell myself that, and I believe it. So share, please, in the chat Yes, rejection and failure are my best teacher. Rejection is God's protection. Your new definition that you're going to commit to yourself to sharing every single time you're tempted to think that old one. So this is, just a tiny single tool at UPW. Oh my goodness, we're going to go hours deep. It's so good. But this one right now, I promise you, if you apply it to your life, it can change your entire life. And this is, in your personal life too. Like, I was adopted and given away at birth the day I was born. And there was a season in my life where I felt rejected and unwanted. And I decided to apply this there, right? I decided oh, my birth mom and birth dad, they were together just one time. I wasn't rejected. I was chosen. Like God brought me into the world, right? My birth mom carried me in hiding, that then gave me up for adoption. Oh, she didn't give me up. I'm not unwanted or unloved. She chose the hard route of keeping me, right? My adopted mom and dad who brought me into their lives, they chose me. So for me, it's like, oh, I'm not rejected. I'm chosen, right? And when we do this, it really turns our life and the meaning we assign to things into ways that completely empower us. So I am, this one tool has completely changed my life. Like I could have never started in my living room with close to no money and built a $1 billion business if I didn't learn to change my relationship with fear of failure and fear of rejection. And, after I sold the business and stayed for 3 years, I made the decision to step away, write my first ever book called Believe It, which is all about, how do you go from underestimated to unstoppable? And just like Tony, I donate 100% of the proceeds, right? So now we've donated millions and millions of meals, but I never would have gone for it. I never would have written it or put it all out there if I hadn't learned to change my relationship with rejection, to change my life. And so in closing, I just want to say, 1.4 million of us are together. And I have been spending the past 2 days, by the way, on my Instagram, reading all of your posts, on Tony's Instagram, on mine, all of your DMs, seeing all the things that you want to do in your life, all the things you want to accomplish, all the personal goals you want to step into. And I know it's been a hard season for so many of us, a hard 3 years. But here's what I know to be true. Because so many people say to me, like, how did you start with close to nothing and build this $1 billion business from your living room? It's like, yeah, I worked really, really hard. And I got back up every time I got knocked down. And I eventually built a team of over 1,000 people, way smarter than me. And they were all in. But how did I learn to build a $1 billion business from my living room? I learned to change my relationship with fear of failure and rejection. Like, how did I learn to build a $1 billion business in my living room? I made the decision to believe that I could. I made the decision to believe that the power in me was enough and that I was worthy of it, right? And to believe in that power that's in me, just like I believe in that same power that's in you right now. It truly is. It's in you right now. And as I close today, I just want you to consider, what is that one thing right now that you're going to change your relationship with rejection or fear of failure on? Maybe you're getting on the dating app tonight. I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe you're going to join me at UPW, right? And my hope and prayer is that you make your dreams your plans. My hope and prayer is that you ask yourself, what will you do with the power that is you? And then you listen to and live the answer. I am so honored to be here. I love you. I hope you're going to join me at Unleash the Power Within, y'all. So it is the most life-changing thing in the world. And I want to say this, I'm going to be there. So if you're there, like hugs, all the things, because I want to hug you right now through the screen. My little kids hug me on FaceTime. I want to just dive in and hug all 1.4 million of you right now, but I hope you'll join me there if you can. And, just so you know, on the UPWs where I'm not speaking, I actually go as a student every single year. Like you saw the video when I just taught that class with Oprah, she's the same. We all believe in the power of being a lifelong student, right? And as Tony says, success leaves clues. And, part of why I'm so honored to be here today is I know that I am the exact same as you.
and every one of us is doing the best we can. Every one of us has this gigantic heart inside of us and power to serve and to give and to create and to ideate, right? We can all feel that force that's inside of us. And I'm just honored to be here with all 1.4 million of you as this giant collective force for good. I love you so much, and I will see you at UPW. I love you.
Give it up for Jamie Kern-Lima, everybody. I love you, Jamie.
I love you. I love you.
Let her hear you, ladies and gentlemen, around the world.
I love you. Thank you. I love you, Tony.
Love you. Stand up and stretch. Wake your body up. Come on. Come on. Wake it up. Wake up your body. Make a sound that unleashes you. A sound that feels so good. Oh, yes. Get a virtual high five. Grab a seat feeling strong. If you're inspired, make that fist and say yes. Say yes. Say yes. I talked to you about on the first day that everything is patterns. Are you starting to notice some patterns of people that find a way to succeed? One of those is changing your conditioning. We're all conditioned to say no. You go into a clothing store, can I help you? No, I'm just looking. No kidding, you're looking. What are you looking for, right? But what would happen if you trained yourself to say yes? Yes to the challenge, yes to the opportunity, yes to make it happen. Instead of no, or I don't know, or let me think about it. The thing that drove all these individuals is they really invested in themselves. They trained their brain, they trained their body, their emotion. They changed their conditioning around rejection. How many hearing that consistent approach out there, ladies and gentlemen? And by the way, that's what's going to change your body. That's what's going to change your relationship. That's what's going to change your economics. But it's not enough to just think it. So I'm trying to do everything we can here. And I thought, today to bring you a couple of the role models because I'm a guy, right? So, and you see me today, 45 years later, you don't see what I was like back then. And so some people, oh yeah, that's him. No, I want you to understand it's anybody. And that doesn't mean you got to make $1 billion or $1 billion company. But how many of you get that with enough persistence and enough time, either through becoming an owner investor or through a business, that you can absolutely create financial freedom, financial security for your family? How many know you can do that beyond a shadow of a doubt? So now what you got to do is make sure you do it, right? So here we're really trying to inspire you. We're showing you principles inspire because it's only 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But what you need is to go for immersion. And so it's not going to change my life either way, but I really want to invite you to consider maybe today, we've done this here, we're day 3, we got 2 more days. But maybe it's time to give yourself the gift of saying, I'm going to immerse in this. Because the difference between a couple hours and doing something 12 hours a day for 4 days and nights is the difference between understanding it and it's in your body and you're doing it. And where your life changes. And that's what all these people have experienced. That's why their lives have shifted. And they've done it for themselves again and again and again. So I'd like to invite you. I've tried to create something really special for all of you here that if you want to continue, who wants to continue this journey after these 2 days? I'm just curious. Make some noise if you'd like to continue. So I want to create something as irresistible as possible for you and something we've never done before, not in any even previous challenge. I was looking at where we are right now with inflation and recession and all those challenges. So number 1, on March, if you jot down 16th through the 19th, we're going to have our Unleash the Power Within. It'll be people from 195 countries, but it won't be here in my basement. It'll be in our $20 million studio, which is totally interactive and it'll be an experience you'll never forget. But we will go day and night, literally, and you will experience a different level of energy and vitality and strength, and we're going to change the limiting beliefs. We're going to change the conditioning you have around rejection. Not talk about it, actually do it so it becomes you. And you're going to come out with so much momentum. Same idea of dropping you in Rome for 90 days as opposed to a little bit at a time. That's what's going to change it. But I've added to it 2 pieces that are really simple. A 60-minute pre-frame to introduce you, show you how to get the most out of it. We're going to do that the day before for just 60 minutes. And then 2 days afterwards, we have an implementation workshop for 90 minutes so that all you've got here, we're going to come up with a plan so you get the maximum result for your body, for your relationship, for your finances, for your emotions, for whatever it is you're focused on. And then I've added a 4th element we've never done before. And doing body, all this is at price points like when people want to come to a seminar before, they'd spend $1,000 to come to a seminar in those days, and then they'd spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 for flights and rooms and all the rest. So this is at a price that's never been available either. But I've added one more thing based on where we are financially. I just created this program, and it's really the financial fundamentals that you really need to face the challenges we're doing here and do well for your family. And I've created it as a program you can take home and use forever. You'll have it right after that you've gone through Unleash the Power, then not before, because I want to see the transformation in you first, and then we'll go to work on this financial aspect of your life. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, number one, how to shift your own psychology around that experience of money. Because some people have great associations, some have mixed associations. And then second, I'm going to show you the actual skills that I did from the very beginning so that even if you own a business, God forbid, a COVID-like experience happens and they shut down your restaurant. I mean, you imagine a lot of those people, they lost everything. But I'm going to show you how on the side, well, like 10 minutes a year after you do the initial work here, maybe 20 minutes, you can build something that has no employees and it'll take you to financial freedom. So if something ever happened to your business, you're still successful. If your business goes well, you combine them and you get to where you want to go quicker. And then we're going to show you what to do with some plans of how to create the spending plans, how you can take what you do right now, get maximum joy out of it, but find the money you think is not available. So we'll do those kind of budgeting simple processes. And then finally, I'm going to introduce you to Ray Dalio. This is a large program available for you. And Ray Dalio, how many have heard of Ray Dalio? He's unbelievable, right? He's a good friend of mine. When I wrote my book, Money Master the Game, he was the most outstanding person because the guy manages $185 billion. He manages the money for countries, to give you an idea, for pension plans. But what's beautiful about Ray, he's a multi-billionaire, is he makes it simple and shows you the principles that will change it all. So I'm going to bring you a private interview I've done with Ray as well. So it's all part of this financial fundamentals on how to thrive in any challenging financial time. So you get that as well. So this whole package is available for you, and it's at a price we've never offered. So if you're interested, I'd really love to invite you to take advantage of it. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm not leaving. I'm going to give this to KK for a second. She'll walk you through this so you have a chance to actually get yourself enrolled and make it happen. When you think about something, it's a dream. When you focus on it, you get excited. When you plan it, it's possible. When you enroll yourself, it's real. And so that's what happened when you enrolled in this. So if you're interested in continuing that journey, she'll walk you through it for just 2 seconds. We'll take a quick break, get yourself registered, and then I'm going to come back to finish up here to show you what we're going to do tomorrow, give you your assignments, and then we'll do our VIP stuff as well. So stick with me. But first, give it up for KK, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Tony. Let's give it up for Mr. Tony Robbins, this amazing man guiding us in our lives. Give it up for him, Tony Robbins, everybody. All right, so you heard it from Tony, the next Unleash the Power Within, which makes some noise if you're freaking excited to make this real. That event is coming up March 16th through the 19th. That's 49 days from today. So if you want to take a pen out, I'm just going to give you a couple quick things, and then the link if you want to go get yourself enrolled for that. I'll be there. Tony will be there. We're going to go deep and make this new identity real. So he shared with you he's never done this before. It's called the 2023 Total Transformation Package. Now, he really walked you through all these things, but I'm going to put some visuals up so you can just jot some notes and really get a sense of the true value. This is extraordinary. We've literally never done anything like it at any challenge or just in general. So there's 4 pieces that he's included in this masterpiece. The first element is immersion. That's the most important piece. That's you going to unleash the power within and really locking in this identity, transforming it from your nervous system. Then you've got the other fun pieces: preparation, implementation, and optimization. So let's go through these. Number 1 is your immersion event. That's Unleash the Power Within. We'll put up a slide here. You're going to have all 4 days with Tony. This is 100% virtual. You can do it from anywhere in the world, around the globe, and it's the greatest personal development event on the planet. If you liked this, it is this on steroids. This doesn't even compare, but it's really making your transformation real. Then you're going to get that quick preparation workshop we're going to do for you guys right before the event, the day before. You're going to have the implementation, take action workshop that Tony designed, because a lot of people can go to an experience like this and maybe not implement. So we're going to guarantee that you implement. That's priceless. You're going to learn Tony's 6-step process for implementing and integrating. And then the Ultimate Edge package, which is something we didn't talk about yet, but it's $249, the greatest personal development course Tony's ever created, and you're going to get that included. So the total value of this, let's walk through, and whoops, I've got the slides. I thought the team was doing it, but I've got it. So let me show you this right here. You've got UPW, and then everything that you're getting included is your prep session, okay? You're going to get your total transformation package, is also including your post-event take action workshop, completely priceless. So the total value is already $695. If you were to go online and just enroll in UPW, it's $695, but you're also going to get the Ultimate Edge package, which is an audio program you can start as soon as tonight, an immediate download, $249 if you were to look that up online. And all of this together is about $1,000, but with this very special financial fundamental course that Tony's going to give you, you're going to get that after UPW. So you're going to go to the 4 days, you're going to completely electrify your nervous system and step into an aspect, a part of you that you maybe have never met before, and then you're ready to start doing some amazing things and setting yourself up financially. So you're going to crush your consumer debt, you're going to learn how to invest, you're going to learn the principles of actually building wealth in your life, and that is about $1,000. But write this down. This course, people paid $85,000 just to be in the room to hear these lessons, and Tony's assembled the best of the best. So you'll get that right when UPW ends. So the whole package for the challenge only, so hear that, because you said yes to being here at this challenge and you're playing full out, this is only for you. If you were to go to like the regular website, not for them, but for you, because you're here, you're going to get all of this, about $2,000 for $495 all in. Kelly Enlow, just her eyebrows just went into the universe. She was like, whoa, it is $495, you guys. For perspective, this event is across 4 days. It shakes out to like $9.16 an hour. So you being here experiencing Tony these last just 3 days, I would spend like $1 million for an hour with Tony, because I know what it transforms in me. So ask yourself what the value is for you, because the cost is this next level of your life. Everything you're feeling right now is only real if you walk yourself to the next step. We are also doing something we've never done before to make this as accessible as possible for everyone. A payment plan, a 3-pay payment option, so you could get in today. Go to upwnow.com. If you want to not hear me talk but read it yourself, you can just go there. And it's only $183 today. That gets you in the door and locks you in for the transformation of a freaking lifetime. We'll send you some other fun stuff. I'll cruise through this quick, but we'll get you an event box to your door, so you have everything that you need. You're going to join an exclusive community with people just like you that are doing this, thousands of us from around the globe, and then we'll set you up with a donation on your behalf to Feeding America. So as we give to ourselves, we can also contribute to the world. So again, you guys, I cannot even say, I don't have the words to articulate how much of a yes I believe for every single one of us this can be, because this is your life. And if you like these last couple days, get over this, any resistance you might have, or you're excited, go right now, upwnow.com and get yourself in, because on the other side, we guarantee this result. If by the end of day 1, you don't believe this is absolutely the best, hands down, most incredible transformational experience of your life, just turn your stuff in and we'll give you your money money back. That's how much we believe in this, and that's how much we believe in you guys. So upwnow.com, $495 or a 3-pay option. We would love to support you guys truly. So we're going to take a really quick break so that you can go get yourself enrolled. And if you're in, so we already have people saying I'm in. Once you get signed up, Tony's coming back here. So put I'm in the chat so we can celebrate with you. And then in a couple minutes, we'll come back. So take this time to get yourself enrolled, put I'm in the chat box. And then when you come back, we'll wrap up the day. We've got prizes. And the most important thing is going to bed tonight knowing that you've set yourself up for your next step. Not walking into it unsure if, you know, these dreams you have are going to come true. Make it real. And the only way it's real is when you decide. If we have a thought, it's just an imaginary possibility, but a decision locks it in. So we'd love to support you. We're excited for your next steps. upwnow.com, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the stage, Carissa Kuchin.
All right, our Become Unshakable family, welcome back. Come on back if you're on break. We are starting, we are back. Mr. Tony Robbins is in the house, so you better get on back here, shake the body out, warm yourself up. Congratulations to everyone that just enrolled into Unleash the Power Within. Make some noise. If you're in, put I'm in the chat box. Let's celebrate. We've got Tony coming back here in a moment. Whoa, yes. Seriously, you guys, we are so overwhelmed. There are so many of us, this little tight-knit family of just like 1 million people, no big deal, that are going to UPW March 16th through the 19th. From the bottom of my heart, holy smokes, we cannot wait to serve you guys. So we've got Tony coming back, we've got prizes, we've got a lot to do, but I did have 4 questions that our team pulled like the most frequently asked, and I'm going to go through those really, really quickly to help clear some things up in case I talked really fast, which sometimes I tend to do. So question number 1 came in from Elizabeth. She said, so when I sign up, I get everything in the package plus a ticket to Unleash the Power Within event in March. And I would actually tell you, you get an Unleash the Power Within ticket in March plus everything else. The reason you say yes to this package, the Total Transformation Package, the way that you are going to transform is by spending 4 days with Tony. This man's dedicated his entire life to figuring out what makes us humans tick. How do we really transform? Not just spend 3 days getting inspired, the door opening like, holy smokes, we can have this life, but actually locking it and infusing it into our nervous system. So you get a ticket to that event, the event that millions of people have gone to transform their life. That is you in 49 days. Plus, just to make it simple and really break it down, you're going to get a preparation event. We've never done that before. A quick workshop to really help prepare you to get the most out of that experience. What can you do now so that when you go to that, you're set up for success? And not only that, we're not just going to finish the event and be like, see ya. We're going to meet you a day or 2 after the event for an integration session to say, what did you learn? What are your takeaways? And we have a 6-step process that Tony does that we're going to take you through to figure out a game plan for your year. Plug it in and make sure you're rock solid. And then not only that, those 2 other special things you're getting are the Ultimate Edge audio program. That's Tony's best-selling personal development audio course in his lifetime. Okay, it's $249 if you were to go online to get that. A lot of people started with that program. I started with that program. You're going to get that and immediate access. You can start it tonight. And then finally, just to recap this, the financial fundamentals that you're going to get, Tony assembled 5 of the best training. So whether you have $1 in the bank or millions in the market, it doesn't matter where you are starting right now. This course is going to help you. It's a journey, and that's why we're giving it to you after UPW, because we want you to get in state and make this identity, this part of you real, and then you can get your hands on that course and set yourself up for some juicy financial success. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if yes. Okay. So you guys are getting all of that. That's about $2,000 of value. You can't get this anywhere else. It's for the challenge only, and it's $495. So I said this before, that's like $9 a day from now until the event. You're getting all of it. So I hope that helped clear things up for you, Elizabeth. Question number 2 from Kevin. Will this package help me boost my confidence? I feel like there is another version of myself waiting to be unlocked, but I don't know how. I would answer this question by saying, if you've been here, you've probably heard Tony say, you know, I built this MRF, or this Tony Robbins guy, I built this guy. So if Kevin, confidence is a value for you that you want to evoke, it's a part of you. And at this event, you're not just going to be like writing down parts of you on paper that you'd like to be. You're going to write it down, and then Tony's going to guide you through 4 days of wiring it into your nervous system. So by the time you leave this event, it's not on your wish list. It's not like on your vision board. It's in your DNA. It's who you are. So short answer to that is F yes. If I could swear, I wouldn't, because it's not who I am. But like F yes. Okay, go sign up right now, upw.com. Question number 3, Tiffany asked, is this 100% virtual? Can my family watch with me if we are in the same house? Yes, across the board. You know, I think this is, I don't want to speak for him, but one of the reasons Tony loves our virtual spaces, the blessing of us being able to go virtual is that he built this amazing studio, and we get to see all of you from around the world in your home. So that means Susie bought a ticket, and she's got like her whole neighborhood neighborhood in the background. Now, listen, we don't necessarily want you to do this, but we want you to share this with the people that you love. Kids come free. It's an amazing experience. And at checkout, you can add on an additional box with those materials, like your board break and the workbooks for $99 or $97, something like that. So you can add on an additional box so that the people that you love can have this experience with you guys in your homes, in your kitchens, in your basements, in your living rooms, wherever you are at in the world. And it is 100% virtual. So if you're tuning in from another time zone, this is not our first rodeo. We've thought about everything. We even have a sleep doctor to help you adjust your schedule for those 4 days. We're on Eastern time zone. So it'll be 10 a.m. start time on Eastern time zone, and those will be all day. Okay? And then the final question is, Tyler asks, is this really a money-back guarantee? I'm sure I won't need it. You won't. But wow, it seems too good to be true. People usually say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. This one isn't. You know, this is one of my favorite things about Tony is he believes in this experience so much. It's his life's work that if you go to the first day, he's this confident in it. And by the end of the first day, you don't hand on heart believe this is absolutely the best, most transformative experience of your entire life's existence, then come to the back room and you can turn your stuff in and get your money back. We don't have anyone do that because the moment you step foot in the room, even if you're someone right now like, I kind of want to do it, but please walk yourself through this resistance. These few days are opening up the possibility for an epic freaking life, but you've got to take the step through the door. And I hope that you felt our hearts, and we want to serve you so, so deeply. So upwnow.com gets you in, and I will just let you know that this event has sold out every single year that we've had it. We have the beautiful limits of technology. We're not like Zooming on Facebook and YouTube and stuff with like breakdowns. We have Zoomzilla. Tony's like friends with Zoom and was like, yo, we need you to set us up with a really epic studio. And so we can't have all of you, even if we wanted to. So if you're someone like, oh, I'll like wait until later, now is the new later, okay? upwnow.com. Go get yourself in. I hope that served you and answered some of your questions. But now I think it's time to get the man back up on the stage. Would you like to bring Tony Robbins back up here? Well, he likes a lot of good energy, so let's show him what we got, that unleash the power within energy. Raise the building, come on. Welcome back to the stage, Tony Robbins.
Let's go. Make a sound that makes you feel great, ladies and gentlemen. Virtual high fives or fist bumps, or if somebody's nearby, give them one. Wow. We've covered a lot of territory for these first 3 days, right? We've started out with this whole understanding that it's all energy to create anything. If you're going to shift, you got to shift to energy. That's part of why I want to do it with you day and night for 4 days and nights, because you will not believe the changes, because you'll be wired for it. It won't be something you did for a little bit. It's like, if you build a muscle and you work out 10 curls, you're not going to get much. But if I can get you to do 15 when you think you only do 10, those last 3 or 4 are like incredibly difficult initially, but that's where you get all the growth. And that's true with energy as well. We talked here about how on those first days, change your story, change your what? Life. And we walk through the different ways that you can shift the story, tapping into your warrior, tapping into the lover, tapping into the magician, tapping into the sovereign. And then yesterday was more about breakthroughs. That strategy, story, state that we know now, you got to put yourself in state first. We don't want to get stuck by the tyranny of how. And then once we're in the right state, we can come up with the right story, and then we can use these strategies. And that's, again, what we do with events as well. And then you've made those shifts. Today is saying, okay, if we're going to make those shifts in an area of our life where a lot of people have conflicts like finance, then we've got to really be crystal clear about how we're organized, how we're conditioned. And we got to change those limiting beliefs, and we got to change the patterns that stop you from starting a business or taking a risk or learning what to do in investing, and that's usually fear of rejection or fear of failure. And we're going to wire those differently to make these things happen. So we've got 2 more days, and tomorrow we're going to be bringing together, my wife Sage is going to join me, who to me is one of the best teachers and the love of my life for the last 24 years, ladies and gentlemen. So We've got a quarter of century together of growing, and she's got a different personality than me. She's nothing but love like me, but got a different way, and I think she'll reach you. We'll reach you together. And tomorrow our focus is going to be, how do you massively enhance relationships? You know, one of the things I loved about Rico today, and I hope you were touched by it, was the healing of those relationships and then the incredible relationships he's now created with his daughters again. But he's healed them. He's made it work. How do you create a relationship if you don't have one? You've been through so many disappointing ones. Because again, you start to develop a story, right? Like, I'm never going to have that. The good ones are gone. I'm too old. Some story, some identity. But we're going to also give you some tools, if you're in a relationship as well, to bring passion to that relationship. Because most relationships in the beginning have it, and then they eventually lose it. And it's not that people don't love each other. It's what triggers those feelings of aliveness and passion. You talk to guys, oh, relationship, and I'll skip that day. When I say, no, this is about love and passion. How many are into love and passion, not just love out there? Right? So you can have love with a friend. You can have love your dog. That's not the same as the intimate person in your life, right? So we're going to walk you through that, and we're going to give you some tools, because people get stuck in relationships, don't they? They get stuck in their mind. They get stuck in a fighting mode. And I'm going to teach you a really cool tool that's super simple, and then we're going to demonstrate it so you know it works, so you can leave tomorrow with those tools. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I'll tell you about the next day. But right now, let's get to what your assignment is for today. Your assignment today, really simple. Let's throw it up on the screen so everybody knows as well. What I'd like you to do today is let's figure out where you are right now in your career or in your business or your finances. So I want you to describe, here's where I am right now in my work or my career or my business or my finances. I'm struggling, I'm doing okay, I'm comfortable, but I want more. And then where do you want to be? Where do you want to be financially? Where do you want to be in your work or your career? Where do you want to take your business? What's the goal? If you weren't afraid, what would you say? If you weren't afraid of failing, if you weren't afraid of really making it happen, and then what do you need to do now to start to take it to the next level? Do you need to innovate? You know, like, a lot of people say, oh, I can't compete with people with bigger companies than I am. You know, one of the questions I just saw for the VIP group, I'll address it there, but I'll plant a seed here. It's like, you can compete with the biggest businesses on earth. Joe Gebbia is one of the co-founders of Airbnb. Airbnb started because Joe and his roommate saw their rent raise 25% in San Francisco overnight, and they couldn't pay their bills. And then they saw this ad that was, he was going to a conference there in San Francisco. He lived in San Francisco, but there's a conference there, and he's a kind of a design guy. And the design conference was saying all the hotels are sold out. And so he thought for a moment, and he turned to his roommate and said, we have that air mattress in the back. We could blow that up. What if we got like 3 of those? And then we made it like an experience. Like we said, we'll pick you up at the airport, we'll show you the best restaurants, and we'll put you up for this price. And that would more than pay their rent. And they did it. Now, it took them 8 more years where they made no money, and then now they're worth $50 billion. Joe's worth $5.8 billion personally, right? But the process that anyone can go through if you can just get beyond these limiting beliefs. So what would be the next step? And what he innovated was the innovation of giving people an experience, right? You didn't have to go to a hotel room. So innovation is like, what would you need to do in your business to grow? What would you do in your career to grow? What would you need to do with your finances to get started and grow, so that there's the beginning of an action plan? And then please, you can write it down. But what was so great, so many of you did it yesterday, grab your phone, you can have your notes in front of you, go, here's where I am right now in my work or my finances or my career or my business, and be clear. Here's where I really want to be, and here's what I'm going to start doing right away this year to take it to the next level. Who's up for it? You go to, by the way, you're going to do it at hashtag closing the gap. It's called hashtag closing the gap. Who's going to make it happen here, ladies and gentlemen? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Then we're going to, I guess we still have we still have the prizes to give out. We still have the prizes to give out. And then we'll take a quick break and come back for VIPs. For the rest of you, stand up and celebrate another magical day together, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Magnificent. Here's KK.
All right, everybody, let's give it up one last time for Mr. Tony Robbins. Whoa, yes. All right, you guys have been absolutely amazing today. It's time to give away some prizes. Really quick on your challenge, I do want to remind you it's due by midnight tonight on video. 60 seconds-ish, keep it tight, and then have passion. Like, stand up and get your energy into it. And use the hashtag, hashtag closing the gap, okay? So you know exactly where you are and where you're going, and that's the criteria that we can look at for winners. Prizes. So 3 people are going to be winning tickets to Unleash the Power Within, a bronze ticket. And we're going to share a bit about these beautiful winners. Again, they're winning because they have given their energy, their vulnerability, their openness, their connection, and we've found them inside the group. So winner number 1, the person's old story, they got shot when he was 19, which makes him a paraplegic. The old identity of him is due to that disability. He would only be able to sell drugs and be on Social Security due to his drug addictions and traumas. And the new identity is that he's no longer an addict. He's drug and alcohol free. He owns his own business, and in 2023 will go 120% in, read 30 books, do a ton of other epic stuff. This is Jeff Martin. You're going to UPW. Hey, look at that beautiful face. Oh my goodness. Jeff, we're so excited for you. I even loved our team put the note, you're Jeffrey, but you go by Jeff. And I was like, I love that we're already developing this connection. So Jeff, we can't wait to see you in 49 days at UPW. Congratulations. All right, winner number 2 of a Unleash the Power Within ticket with Tony Robbins. This person's old identity where my parents abandoned me. I attempted to take my life, but someone found me and I survived, gained weight, cut my hair to avoid contact with people. And this person's new identity is they are resilient, self-sufficient, a business owner, a professional freaking athlete, feeling the strongest and healthiest they've ever felt. And this is Lucy Warnock. You are going to Unleash the Power Within. Congratulations, Lucy. Tony cannot wait to serve you. All right, and our third and final winner of the Unleash the Power Within ticket coming up in 49 days. This person has such a bubbly and joyous personality. Their old identity is they're the protector of everybody. Everybody's problem was her problem. And her new identity is that she is lovable. She's making her worst day the best day of her life. And this winner is Christina Basso. Christina, you are going to Unleash the Power Within. She's not here with us live, but we can feel her energy. Let's warm our hands up, everybody around the world, and give Christina a little bit of love wherever she's at. We love you, Christina. We can't wait to see you in 49 days. So, again, you guys, playful out every single day, and you'll have a chance to win some prizes. Some final housekeeping for you is that we start tomorrow at the exact same time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's Relationship Day. It is so good. Sage Robbins is going to be here. You want to be here on time, with your heart open and ready for your mind and heart to be absolutely blown. So Relationship Day tomorrow, and then VIPs will start in just a couple minutes. But everyone take this moment right now and get yourself enrolled in Unleash the Power Within. I can't even speak enough amazing things about this. I hope I'm saying whatever I need to say for you to have a yes inside of your body. But upwnow.com is one decision that you can make that will forever change your life. And that's not a cliche, it's the truth. We love you. We can't wait to keep seeing your dreams come to life. upwnow.com. It's been an epic day. So go get yourself enrolled. VIPs, we'll see you soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.